What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Review on PLD Projects. This is my co-host, Lego. How are you doing, my friend?
Well, I just watched the television dumpster fire that is Mindy Kaneling's Velma. That way I've tempered my expectations for this show.
Ooh, that's probably a good way to prepare. I don't know if I could do that to myself. I
Would
don't know if
recommend it. Does not pass any health safety standards. Don't
So,
recommend.
was it written by the same writers of V?
Oh, the writers of V would be an improvement.
Wow. Oh, that's that. Wow. Okay, that's coming from you, who are even harsher on the writers than I am. I am PLD, by the way, the host of PLD Projects. Welcome to Review, our show about V from the 1980s and beyond. If this is your first time here, that like, subscribe, all that stuff. Last week's episode was kind of a big hit. We kind of tried something a little fun where I read out the unproduced script for the what would have been the season/series finale of V, and Lego got to listen carefully and react as only she can to the direct that only they could write at that point.
You
What's up?
know, I might be old, but I got a lot of energy. I drink a lot of coffee. I'm a very passionate person, and I just can't keep that inside.
That's very fair. We liked it so much that I think we're going to do it again. As you know, we were trying to do everything in the VA franchise. We started with the original miniseries, went to the sequel miniseries, went to the 80s series. We are going to go to the 2009 series, and we are going to go even beyond, do books, comics. I'm going to hopefully do the whole shebang on the show. One of the ones we're going to do, though, is next show's episode. It was another script that was not produced, pitched by the famous J. Michael Straczynski, known for Babylon 5 and a comic book writer and a lot of other cool genre material. He actually pitched a continuation of V, and he himself released the first act on back in the day. There's like in a news group back in the day, I think it is, back pre-real internet stuff here. But I have a copy of it. And we're going to do it again. We were going to read it and talk about it, but I think we're going to try again where I'm going to read it out because I have read it before, although it's been a while, and Lego will react to it. I will say I do think at the very least this is a much better written story. Whether she likes where it goes or not, who knows? We'll find out. But we'll do it together like we did last time. We're going to find out. But that is next episode. Because we were doing this all in a run, I thought it'd be nice to have a little bit of a break, a little bit of a breather in between, and we could do a show. It's kind of a fun, silly talk about V show. And so I came up with this idea. Let's do a character tier ranking of the characters from V. Now, initially, I had an idea of doing every character that we could think of, and Lego's like, no, we can't do that. That's just way too long. I don't even remember half these people at this point, and she's right. Of course, she's.
I mean, I don't remember some of the people on the list, and I feel like maybe I should have had that as one of the things above the F tier.
Ooh, what? Maybe we can add a tier later. I will see. Maybe that is.
I can already think of 3 people who are going in. Who?
That one doesn't count. The one doesn't count because you know who that character is. You can pretend like you don't, but you know who the character is.
I'm maintaining the bit. The bit will not go away. And in fact, I can't wait till we get to the 2009 one because that little is so much worse than Sean. He needs. I'm almost out here advocating for child abuse.
I want to say something right now. That 2009 one was really bother you because you just actually said Sean's name. Just want to say it out loud. You actually said Sean's name. So that's how much that 2009 one's bothering you.
Oh, man.
That's a bother. But
that was an accidental slip. I was just in a blind rage.
I get it. That's a lot of coffee there. I did whittle it down. I whittled it down to a bigger list of 42 characters that have appeared.
Now, was that intentional?
Yes and no. I kind of looked it down, but then I kind of looked at the tiers. Like, well, I have 6 tiers, and I was like, I could get it down to if I get it down to an even number, that would be nice. But before I really put much thought into it, I actually had gotten down to 42. I'm like, well, that's perfect. So I guess it was meant to be.
We wrecked Douglas Adams here.
Indeed. It was exactly what it is on every way, shape, and form is that number meant to be. So we are going to start with our character tier ranking. And then after we're done, I realized that as part of a staple of PLD projects, we usually do, like I do the Holy Snokes Star Wars. I do 2 Minute for Waities with PJ Campbell. And we always usually rate the movies or whatever we watch on a scale of 1 to 11. So we didn't do that for review. We really should.
Is it because I'm a chick? It's because I'm a chick. Is it
It
because I'm
might
a
be.
chick?
It must be because you're a chick. Because I'm very sexist. So,
PLD.
well, I'm going to try to make up for it today. I'm going to try to make up for it today and let you do it. Let you go through it and join the rankers. You made charts. You did make charts. It's true. And I want to say we talked about this off air. We are going to rank it on a scale of 1 to 11 because we always rank things, certain things.
Although you didn't tell me that halves were allowed, so mine are all rounded numbers.
Oh, I didn't tell you. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I kind of assume that's how. But okay, I made an assumption. I made an ass out of you and me. Good to know. Well, Lego's rounding. I did a couple of halves, but it's on a scale of 1 to 11. We always turn things up to 11. But we wanted to rank them on a scale of an internal scale in terms of all with regards to V, because some of them might have gone even lower if we were trying to rank them against like the rest of the world and genre entertainment and beyond. So think about it that way when you're ranking them. So, because you can rank with us. Let you know. I want to know in the comments. Let us know what you think. And let us know what you think about the tiers, too. Are we going to get something completely wrong? Is there something we're going to put in the...
Tier rankings can be so controversial.
They really can be.
I think in our sphere, I know some people have gotten a lot of trouble for their tier rankings. I won't mention any specifics.
I was not involved in that particular ranking. There's a podcast I was a part of, but I was not a part of that ranking. She is referencing call to actions, fast food tier ranking, and somehow, some way, shape, or form, Subway won. I did not encourage this. I did not. I actually stood aside from that and said, I put me away because I have nothing to do with it. I was not
Don't
on the
put
episode.
me in, coach. I'm not here to play.
Absolutely. I was not a part of this. I will not stand for this. I actually quit the podcast.
I will not abide.
I think not really. I just kind of faded away from the podcast anyway. But I could have say it was because of that tier list. I decided not to perform on Call to Action anymore. So, all right, let's do this without further ado. Let's get that tier ranking up there. We have the 42 members of V that we're going to rank bit by bit. And here's our scale. We have at the top, of course, as named by Lego, the Diana tier, which is for normal tiers. This would be the S tier, the super tier. If that didn't make sense to you, that Diana would be the name of that. Well, you have to talk to Lego. I agree with her. I think that's a good tier for it's a good tier name for it. And if you've listened to us at all, you'll not be surprised that the lowest tier is the Robin tier. And
had to be.
It's true. It's true. Although I will say, if I hadn't whittled down the list, I would have made an argument for that kid from War of Illusions.
PLD, I would have put him so much higher than you.
He would have been below the Robin tier, as far as I'm concerned.
My God, you have a hatred for my 21 Jump Street boy.
I have a hatred for that kid, and I will not hear otherwise. But luckily, a lot of our one-offs had to be the ones whittled down, because obviously, as much as I would love to be here all night and do it, there's a sensible point made by Lego that we can't go through every person who's on everybody on this list basically has appeared at least twice or 3 times. I mean, unfortunately, that leaves out such characters as Howie, who I did love, but I had to leave him out. Langley, John Langley, the visitor spy that tried to impregnate Robin again, had to leave him out. But I think you'll find that everyone who's left had good moments. At least we can.
Unfortunately, we could not include Frankie Weatherwax, but we all know he'd be in God tier.
Yes, he is in our heart always. Thank you, Weatherwax. Let's start off with the person that, even when I whittled down the list, Lego said, who the fuck is this? So let's just get this one out of the way. I'm going to start that here. And that is the character of Roller. Now, I'm going to put this just on B and C to start with. That's all I'm doing for now. You still don't recognize this guy at all, huh?
Okay, so I know that he was Nathan's Flacky.
Correct.
But he was just so forgettable, especially when he ends up getting replaced by someone who's so much more interesting and memorable. Unfortunately, that just relegates him to. So for me, the D tier really is going to be the who tier.
Fair.
Just
That's fair.
because some characters, listen, they come and they go.
I will agree with you, and he did nothing for the show. He had one somewhat memorable line for me when Nathan Bates said, "That guy here, he's a problem," talking about Ham Tyler, and Roller said, "No, Mr. Bates, he's history." But of course, he was incompetent and had to be replaced. He went quietly, as Mr. Chang told Nathan later on afterwards. I would put him in D for now. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up in Robin tier only because I know Robin's mostly for hated characters, but I can see a lot of people want to just push him down because of our lack of space in other slots. But for right now, I think it would be disrespectful to put him there to start because I don't hate him. D is a good spot for him. I will agree with you on that. Next up, we'll start with Abraham Bernstein.
This is a horrible character to start with.
Oh, okay.
Because he's my number one.
He is your number one of all time. He is the Diana of the Diana tier.
Yes, he is.
Wow.
I think he's, to me, the pivotal character because he is so emblematic of the themes that the original series was conveying. He really stood up for his convictions. He had so many memorable speeches, and the way that, I mean, he gave us the V in V.
He did.
He's the character that saw what was coming, tried to warn people, and ended up losing his life because of his grandson, that little SOB.
You're not wrong.
I do think he's one of the most important characters of this show.
I can't argue with anything you said. I still couldn't put him in Diana's tier. I don't know. I'll sit on it for a bit, and I don't have to worry about that yet. For right now, I'll leave him Diana's tier. I might argue later on, but I will say I agree with everything you said. The only issue we have with him is longevity. Now, because he's only in the first 2 episodes. That's it.
Well, yes, but he became kind of a martyr to me. The thing is, I think that if he had lasted longer in the show, would they have ruined him in the television series? But
he would have been.
Does longevity matter in this show? Is something I would argue.
I think it does to a degree. I would think that, and you got someone like one of the bigger characters we're going to get to later on, the fact that they're there throughout. I mean, some of these characters made the show watchable, even at its worst times. And that to me is a big to do. But I will say, bang for your buck, for the small amount of time he did have a very impressive impact. And he probably is one of the focal points of the original Resistance. So I will save any arguments I have for later on at this point. I think it's too early to argue because we'll see who else comes into play and where, if we need to knock him down at that point, we'll go from there. But good choice, good solid choice. That's a number one right off the bat. I didn't know that was the case, obviously, or else I would have saved it later. But that's okay. Let's just go right down the list then. We're just going to go in order for now. So it's not my fault. It's just randomly in order. Next up, Mr. Ben Taylor.
Gosh, that's so hard.
Has the same problem as far as longevity goes, obviously. He really only appears in the first episode and makes a very big sacrifice at the end.
Yes,
but he also is kind of like Abraham in a way. He is a good focal point for the Resistance because he does the right thing. He's not a fighter. He does inspire his younger brother to join. And his younger brother becomes a very
Elias probably wouldn't have joined without Ben dying.
Absolutely not. Ben tried to recruit him a bunch of times, and he always laughed it off. But when Ben died, that showed Elias how serious everything was. It also inspired Caleb as well. Caleb, who joined. I think he might have joined anyway. Caleb, I couldn't see joining anyway because he always had that kind of righteous attitude. But at the same time, I can't put him that high only because he was in one episode. I know it makes a mockery what I just said. I think everybody in this list has in more than one episode. I couldn't not have the Taylor brother, the last Taylor brother. So I don't know. My initial thought is to put him in the. I think he's going to end up in B or C.
Yeah, same. I would put him in B to start with and see where he goes, but
I gotta
he's a
respect.
great character, and I really like the actor.
Yep, Richard Lawson,
But
great.
he wasn't in there very long, and so the length of the amount, or rather the amount of time that a character is in the show, for me, that doesn't necessarily affect my rating as much as it seems like it does yours. But for me, it's just that he didn't get the opportunity to convey his character other than being stand-up guy.
Right.
I couldn't really tell you anything about him.
Right. That's very true. Absolutely. I almost feel like respectfully, I might put her at A, but I know already that he's never going to stay in the A category. So I'll start with B, thinking I might end up pushing him down. We're going to find out, though. Next up, good old Arthur Dupre, Mike Donovan's stepfather. Dupre. They say it's a couple different ways sometimes. You can say Dupre, either way. Arthur, the lovable old alcoholic who is basically under his wife's thumb, does anything she's told until he doesn't. Whereas before, I would have put him in a low. I could have seen putting him in a C category, even a D, because he doesn't do a whole lot. That one moment in the final battle was a fist pump moment for me. A small fist pump, but a fist pump nonetheless. When she says, "You walk out that door, there's no coming back." And he turns around and says, "Thank God," and walks out. Little small bits of resistance. But I probably can't put him above C anyway myself.
Yeah, I'm going straight D. Like,
okay.
I remember him, but he doesn't really contribute anything. He absolutely is not necessary for the story. He's just kind of there in the background, and then he leaves.
That's a good point. I will say, as a reader of the novels, I did read the adaptation by A.C. Crispin already. And in there, he has some great moments with Sean and actually takes Sean away from Eleanor before the final battle. Yes, that guy, Mr. Who, Doctor Who. Mr. Who takes Mr. Donovan's kid away. And they actually share a nice moment together watching the balloons go up in the novel. But you can't count that. And I can't count that for that either. So I kind of want to put him at C and know that he's going to go down. But I could also put him in D right away. I'll do that. Definitely going to put him over Roller, though.
Oh, yeah.
One moment.
I would agree.
Roller. Okay. All right.
I can't tell who that is.
This is Brad, the cop from the original miniseries. Now, Brad has a doppelganger in the final battle, who's also in this list. But of the two, Brad definitely has no red flags comparatively.
Yes, this is the one played by William Russ.
Yes.
He's a much better cop. He doesn't get a lot to do.
No.
But he's there. He's kind of a hothead, argumentative cop. I like him. I'll leave him in C.
I think C is a good spot for him. I'd actually even argue he might be right around wherever Ben Taylor's going to end up. I mean, he was only in the first two. They had some humorous moments. He did after the camp battle. I remember Elias said, "They're not so tough." And he went, "Are you nuts? Are you crazy?" I liked him. I like Brad a little bit, but I agree that it's probably the safest spot for him for now.
Oh dear.
Now we have Brian.
Oh dear. See, now I have a question.
I know you're gonna. I almost know what you're gonna say, but ask the question because this is something we're gonna have to qualify. We didn't qualify before.
Okay, so he is a very bad guy, but he is a great and important character. So
I
how
think
are
we
we
can't.
qualifying that? Are we qualifying these ratings on enjoyment?
I think we got to qualify it. We can't because he does bad things. That's what he's supposed to do. So that's
Yeah.
how he was written. So I can't
Okay.
say a bad guy for because yeah, to be telling you put Diane at the bottom for that, technically speaking, even though she does it with much more
Well,
style. She does it with much more
there's
style.
someone else, but
There's even
there's
more.
a few people who are much more bad than her. But
Right. But so I guess I would rank him on like importance and like does he do a good job with what he's supposed to do?
yeah, okay, I'm going like B with Brian then.
I am too, and I'd put him definitively above Ben Taylor. Are you agreeing with
Yeah,
that as
I could
well?
agree with that.
Yeah.
He's evil, and I hate him.
Like
He's a
just off
walking
the
red
top,
flagged lizard.
absolutely. I'd actually almost automatically put him in A right now, but I know that won't last. That would definitely won't last. B, I could see him lasting in, but we're gonna find out, I guess. He does a great job being exactly a red flag kind of guy and doing what Diana wants him to do. And he really is kind of a fuckface, especially as he even manipulates one of the worst SOBs in the ranking that we're gonna get to. So, all right. Next up, Caleb Taylor, the father figure, actual father of the Taylor brothers. Again, he lasted from the original miniseries to the final battle. Did not jump ship to the weekly series. Jason Bernard, well-known actor in a lot of different shows. Jason Bernard as
Hmm.
this is a tough one for me. I say
Yeah.
automatically, it's got to be more than Ben.
I
Got to be
would
more than Ben.
I don't think he would stay in A, but I almost wanna put him in A. Probably high B, really. He is very entertaining. I like his
Mhm.
character. He's incredibly memorable, and he's important
Yes.
because he plays that blue collar worker and how they start off, being angry at like immigrants taking their job, and then he moves to my kid died because of this, and now
Yeah.
he's involved. And you see how you see I think more than almost any other character how he's affected by this war
Mm, absolutely. He
and how his everyday life is impacted.
loses a son, has a son he's already almost lost in his own head to drugs and gang related activity and everything else. But he's still a good father. He's not a perfect father. He makes mistakes, but he owns up to them and tries his best to reach out, tries to make amends at times. And that scene with him and Elias at the end of the final battle was pretty moving, I thought. I liked that. He has some humor to him. He has some of that dry wit about him. And I do like the fact it's almost like a nice little play where like he acts racist as he were towards the visitors in the same way that other people had probably treated him. So it was an interesting segue to have happen, or it's a juxtaposition, I should say, to have happen. And he has that moment with Willie, of course. He has some great moments with Willie. Funny at first, but like it shows his like, he's a little downtrodden. He does overcome them and ends up being friendly with Willie eventually. And I think he's a good father figure in general. It feels like he's a good father figure to the resistance in a way. Like a lot of people like seem to look up to him a little bit. So I like him. I like Caleb. I think A will probably end up being too high for him, but I'm okay with putting him in A for now, for sure. It's a respect moment. It's our respect for him to put him in A for now. Probably won't stay there. Are we good with that?
Yes. Oh, PLD, this one you're gonna be mad at me.
Charles.
He's high up there. He's so entertaining. He's what every show needs. I just need every show to have this like man, I'm gonna use a bad word, sluttily walking onto the show with the shirt unbuttoned all the way down to his pants. Like,
Mhm.
let's go with that navel. And then forcing a woman to marry him because he's some kind of, I don't know, royal lineage or something. Like, this dude needs to be on Bridgerton.
You're not wrong. And then he even like plays it like he wants to send her back, and then it's like I don't have to send her back because I'm just that damn good. I'm in charge here. He definitely has the I'll use a bad word too. He definitely swings a big dick around kind of thing. That's his energy. Um, and I agree. Short lived. You look back and you're like, how many episodes did he appear in? I'll tell you,
But it seemed like all of them.
He appeared in 4 episodes.
Felt
That's it.
like 8 in
Right?
a good way.
It did. He did have he left that kind of legacy, that kind of character. He unfortunately came in at a time that they were about to cut loose on cast at that point. I kind of wonder if that was a case of like, did they hire him and then they start writing for him and then they had the word that they had to cut cast? 'Cause I think he would have stayed around for a while. It could have been a great character to keep going, for sure. I'm curious where are you going to put him? What would your if you had this is your tier list now?
Wow. I'd probably put him above Brian.
Okay.
Where would you put him?
Would you put him above Caleb? That's the
No,
question.
no, no. Like B tier
Okay.
above Brian.
Okay. Okay. I'm warring in my head. Brian is probably a more important character overall.
I don't agree with that.
I guess that's because and we all have our own things. I definitely in my head weigh the original miniseries at a bigger scale than the weekly series because the weekly series did come a little bit of a joke to a degree. Joke, yeah.
Little bit.
So
A lot of
yeah,
it.
I'm being nice. I'm being nice. So because of that, Brian does hold that weight. At the same time, Charles is damn entertaining. And we get the Donovan and Charles fight. We get the Charles and Lydia, Diana, like love, lust, hate triangle thing going on. And damn, I gotta love his energy. I'm okay. I will leave him at the top of B for now. I'll leave him at the top of B for now, knowing I'll probably put him lower at some point. But I almost feel bad for Ben. I keep going back, but you're right. We are right. Ben should be that low. Okay. All right. All right. Let's move forward. Mr. Chang. Mr. Chang.
Right above William Russ in C tier, man.
The C tier?
You know, I like him. He's fun, but after Nathan gets shot, he becomes kind of confusing on his motivations and kind of a bit muddled. He's entertaining, but there's just so many characters that I would put way above him.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I definitely like him more than Brad. I think he has a lot of fun moments. I do like the fact that he's willing to try to take control of the city because I like that he has that sudden ambition. I wish they had foreshadowed him having more ambition before it happened. That would have been a cool thing to have done. Instead of all of a sudden he has the opportunity, he's going to seize it because Charles tells him to. And then Charles, help me. Nathan's waking up. But I like him higher than C, but I can't put him above Ben, I don't think. I guess my heart tells me to put him on B tier right below Ben, but that means he's eventually going to be pushed down to definitely going to be pushed down to a C at least. So I guess I'm okay putting him in C for now. That's fine. Next up, we got Chris.
I mean, all the way up to
Faber.
Diana.
Chris Faber is in the S tier for the Diana tier for you.
Who is that?
Chris Faber. It's Han Tyler's partner.
Okay. I thought that was Donovan.
Oh, no.
Okay, no. But he's high up there.
He is high up there.
Come on. Hey.
You put him in that? You think he's okay? I'm trying to think in my head. I mean, he doesn't have a very big repertoire. He was in the final battle. He made a handful of appearances in the weekly series. He is partners with Ham Tyler, so that gives you a lot of bonus points right there. I will say that.
You're lucky I'm not saying Diana. Come on. Hey.
I
just love that actor.
I love the actor. Mickey Jones is a phenomenal human. Rest in peace. Was a phenomenal human being. A lot of fun, a lot of genuine soul is what I've heard. I never got to meet the individual, but this is all everybody who's ever met him at conventions always said the same thing, that he was a really sweet dude. He actually, I didn't get a chance to watch this. He actually recorded at one point. There was a V convention, and he not only went to it, but he made a documentary about it or something. Like, I don't know if it ever was released, but I know some people have seen it, and it would maybe sold at the convention, and it was supposed the really sweetest, cool thing. So I do like him too. He's fun. Spoiler alert, there's actually a book. One of the books that we have has Chris in I don't know if featured role is the word I'd use, but it's a bigger role. It's a nice meaty role. Meaty role for a meaty guy. Would you put him above Charles though? So you're putting him above Charles?
Yeah.
Okay. And what about Caleb?
No.
You don't put him above Caleb.
No.
Okay. I almost want to put him above Caleb.
I mean, go for it.
I love Caleb, but there's something about Chris in his time.
He does the explosives.
Does the
Said it that
explosives.
way on purpose because
He's
YouTube.
That's right. Thank you for that. He does have the cynicism down very well, but that kind of like fun cynicism that he's definitely got the 80s action hero vibe. And I gotta say, I will say this too, as a fellow big guy, for a big guy to be an 80s action hero is pretty impressive, and he pulls it off very well. So justice for the big guy, I will put him in A tier for now. So
And also the way that he manhandled Mark for being all rude to Maggie.
Got right in his face. I love that. All right. Daniel Bernstein.
Right down to Robin. Well, okay, well, hang on.
This is exactly what we're talking about here.
Okay, yeah.
He is.
So hang on. He's hate him.
Very good at what he does.
But like that was the absolute way he was written and the way the actor intended to portray him, and he was meant to be captured. So it was very effective, and I appreciate when you have writers that can write a character that, unlikable.
Yeah.
And actually give them and not have them be two-dimensional.
Yes.
He's not a two-dimensional character.
No.
So it really, really well done. Really well acted.
There's some great scenes with
God, I hate him. I don't even know where to put him. I kind of want to put him next to Brian.
I mean, that'd be good. I think I got to put him above Brian. I think he's a better villain than Brian. Brian is a little two-dimensional, especially comparatively. I love the fact you have Daniel, who starts off as a misguided youth who just like didn't know he was struggling through teenagerhood. He's exactly the kind of guy that fascists will take and use and turn them into what he becomes. But he has some great scenes. He has some great scenes with the grandfather, great scenes with his parents, great scenes with Robin, great scene with Ruby. I particularly almost want to put him above Charles.
How dare you?
I think I do. He is more important because he shows how humanity goes down. I know.
I disagree with that immensely, but
we can revisit it. I
kind of want to keep our Furby boys next to each other.
That's a good point. It's a solid argument that means nothing in the real world, but I get where you're going, and I appreciate it. Okay, I'll leave it there for now because we can revisit it later on. I might revisit that one. Because to be completely honest, there is a part of me that would say he's almost A tier because he is that damn good at what he does. Such a punchable face.
Yeah, but I just know there's other characters I'd probably put above him.
Right, and that's why I'm okay with him here at this point. But I might have to do that at some point. We'll find out. But definitely over Brian. So
we reserve our right to reorder.
At the end, I think we'll do a great reorganization and kind of figure it, like make sure we're do the tweaking. Next up is Diana. She's got to go. It's a tier named after her. She got to stay in there.
Obviously, I have a love for Diana. Jane Badler is a baddie.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to do this. Right? I think that Diana at this point has to go over Abraham, if only for the sake of she is like the face of V, really. I mean, you could say maybe Donovan, but like really, she is the one that's on a lot of the posters. She's the one with the lizard skin ripped off. She is the ultimate baddie who develops herself into a wonderful baddie from a science officer all up to the end. She is the one that makes you want to watch all the time, whether you want to beat her or whether you want to see what she's doing or whether she's just damn sexy because she's Jane fucking Badler. I think his character represents a lot of the morals of V and a lot of the humanity of V. We're talking about the show itself. I can't see a world where Diana doesn't stay there. I mean, a couple of characters that will challenge her, but I'd have a hard time as having somebody overtake her. Again, we can revisit this later. Are you okay with this?
I mean, yeah, I guess. It's just a little heartbreaking.
I get it. I get it. And I share your love for Abraham. I'm actually glad you put him up that high because I probably, on my own, would have put him up, maybe not that high, but pretty high overall. So,
I'm gonna let you go first on this one because I feel like we're gonna have
go ahead.
very different feelings.
First of all, I wish I had a better picture, which is all so dark in shadows. I think I know you're going to go really low on him, and I get why. I understand why. I do think that there's a lot of shades to him, given the time, given the 1980s of what he was. Um, I'm not forgiving some of his backward thoughts, but he does come across interestingly to me, in terms of I like that he's got some well-roundedness to him. They talk a lot about his like South African guerrillas that he dealt with back in the day. Um, he does strike some good chords in the LA Medical Center raid. His taking of Elizabeth is understandable. Taking her to Diana isn't, but that's another story. I personally would probably put him above Chang,
Mhm.
and it's about as high as I go.
So I'm going straight Robin here. This man isn't like Jerry Falwell levels of bad, okay? He's not quite moral majority, but he definitely wasn't pro second wave feminism.
Oh, sure.
His ideas on I don't think I can use that word on YouTube. Unbabying a teenage girl were
Hmm.
ass backwards. The fact that he felt like he got an opinion on the subject was ridiculous. The fact that he abducted the little girl to take her to the enemy and walked into his own death and could
Mhm.
have potentially gotten Elizabeth very hurt was mind boggling. Absolute Robin. This character was awful. I wish he wasn't even included in this show. It enraged my
Wow.
soul.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I definitely understand where you're coming from on a lot of it. Um, I will say for me, there was two layers to the Robin pregnancy issue. On on the straightforward side of things, if this wasn't in the show, it was in a science fiction show about aliens and lizards, get it. Shouldn't have a say. Given the fact that this was a new species and some more to it, I do think that talking it out meant a lot more than, like he said, I think there had to be a little more talking than just Robin and Robert. I think there's a
Totally
little bit more going
disagree.
on. I think I
100%.
think a conversation was a healthy
I
thing
mean,
to
do you
have.
think that nah,
There's a lot more than just this is not just a simple pregnancy to talk about. There's a little
the
more
only other person involved in that conversation should have been the medical professionals.
potentially.
That is it. It's not a moral conversation. It is a human girl getting pregnant with a humanoid alien. Like, that's not that big of a deal. Clearly, we're on a shortage of resources, so let's not be populating the planet, even though that TV show really wanted to have a lot of effing babies.
It did.
Jeez.
It really did. It really did.
Yeah, this is actually, you know what? This show really is pushing the heteronormative agenda.
It is the 1980s. That tended to happen a lot more, a lot of times, pretty much. Let's be honest. Um, rightly or wrongly, as we could say. Uh, let's say. Okay, so you want
Well,
a
I mean,
Robin
I'm
one.
putting him in Robin, and you're putting him in C. I think that puts him in D tier.
I'm okay leaving him in D tier. I will. Yeah, I'm going to put him here because at worst, even if you don't like, this is one of those situations. Also, even if you don't like the character, he was written as an 80s priest. It's pretty
I feel
well
like he
written.
was written to be someone with whom you would empathize and like, but I didn't, and that makes it worse. Like
Well,
when you're watching a show, and I feel like guys do this a lot, and that's just because I'm me, but like guys will write guys that they think are good and they empathize with, but I'm watching this show, I'm like, no, he's just a stalker. Like, I don't like this character. And the
I
show
get
doesn't
that.
understand he's not a good character. And I feel like that's, to me, watching this from a modern lens is how I look at him.
I get that to a degree also. I definitely do. I would also argue, though, that V at its best, when we're talking about V and the final battle, I'll lump them both in, was at its best providing a character from every facet of real life as much as they could. The cast of thousands we had. And this was a
Well,
person who
the
would
difference in
fit
that is
demographic.
the difference I think in that is that, when you write Mike Donovan or Ham Tyler, there are, areas that I agree and disagree, but they're ultimately good guys and the show casts them in a good light. But when you have someone like Daniel and Brian, they are bad guys cast in a bad light, where with some of the bad guys, I mean, at least you're getting a little bit of understanding of why they are the way they are. But
Mm.
with Priest guy up there, I do think he is not a nice guy, but he's cast in a nice guy light. And that's where I don't think the writing works. I do think the writing failed. I mean, the actor was great. There's nothing about his performance. But I
get
do
that.
think that the characterization doesn't work because ultimately it cast a not good guy in a good guy light.
I will understand with what you're saying. I think it's not as clear cut as that. I do think that the character has the best of intentions. And I think he has good intentions throughout. Obviously, he has some beliefs that are backwards. I don't think he comes at it negatively. Too negatively. He has some, again, the one obviously hot button issue is something specific. But if you look at him taking out that hot button issue, he generally tries to help as best he can.
I do agree he has good intentions, definitely.
Which is why I can't say he's not a good. That's where I get. It's like I'm not saying he's a good guy, but he's well intentioned. I guess in a way. I guess is a good way to say it. It would have been interesting to see Kenneth Johnson's vision of the final battle, where the priest was supposed to be a young hip African American priest, is what Kenny Johnson initially said.
That sounds so much better.
That's what the character was supposed to be, and then
He could have been
writer
great friends
turned it
with Lily.
to make him the old alcoholic Roman Catholic drunk Irishman kind of thing. That's fair. But I'm okay leaving him in D for now. I said C, you said Robin. I think that's a good choice. A good choice there. Next up, Eleanor Dupree, Donovan's stepmother, wife to Arthur. She is a very much a case of humanity, just the bad sides of it, for sure. The upper class who want to have power, have riches, who would suck up to Hitler, would suck up to whoever was in charge, no matter what it meant to anybody else around them, including her neighbors even. So she is a bad person. This is for sure. I'm not sure how Donovan was raised so well. They actually have that moment where Donovan says she taught him right from wrong. I'm not sure what happened necessarily. Maybe when Donovan's father died a drunk, then that turned her and made her selfish. I don't know. Because that's not with a cast of thousands, we only have so much time for background, so we don't know. But I will say she's very effective at what she does. And I would put her, my initial thoughts is, at least for now, in the B range. I'm sorry, split up our boys here. I think I'd put her there. Although part of me would even go so high. There's a part of me, I'm trying to decide right now, would actually go so high as to put her above Caleb. How important she is.
I would put her behind Caleb, but I would put her pretty high as well. I think she plays. I'm blanking on the actress's name. Plays the part
Neve
very
Patterson,
well. Sorry,
Nev Patterson, I think is what her
Okay.
name is. Neve.
She portrays the character to perfection. Honestly, I think the character is very interesting and just, oh my god, don't you just love a rich bitch just out there doing her thing? I find that very entertaining and pretty pivotal again to the story. I don't think we ever talked about it, but I think we kind of did in without using specific terms, but I'll use it now. There's a lot of classism in the original story that she really represents very well, I think.
Yes, I agree. I very much so agree. That's why she's like the opposite of the Caleb character, down to earth, really salt of the earth kind of character. Then you have Dr. Taylor, which is someone, yeah, I mean, Julie the med student, but Eleanor is definitely the higher class, high crust. I think she got effed in life when she was younger in a lot of ways, and whatever happened made her turn selfish and cold and black-hearted, as they say, cold as ice, and she became selfish. And she's going to get hers. Whatever happens in life, she's going to get hers now because life owes her. Well played, and it's well played. So I'm okay with her in A. Part not to put her above Caleb, if only because she has more of a striking character. Caleb's Salt of the Earth character is good, but he doesn't get as many moments to shine like she does. She has some great shining moments. So not shining is the wrong word, I guess, because she's not like a good shining, but it shines the spotlight on her characterization.
I mean, I think having Caleb and Eleanor next to each other says a lot about the show.
Yeah, it's a good point. That's a very good point. I think I would do that. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, there's a part of me who's, if you want to push up against Chris now, but I just love Chris as much as that's where the pure entertainment factor comes in. So something about that charismatic good guy you love to love. So a lot of arguments to have. Tier lists go back and forth for so many different reasons, and that's the thing. It's hard to compare these people sometimes, these characters sometimes. All right, next up, Elias Taylor, the more famous of the Taylor brothers, the bad Taylor brothers. It's almost a tale of two stories. Anyway, you have the miniseries Elias Taylor and then the weekly series Elias Taylor. Both are strong, but let's face it, his character was definitely much more driven, I think, in the miniseries than it was in the weekly series. He kind of got forgotten in the weekly series eventually. He was just the owner of the Club Kriegel. And then when that went, he went not too long after. But I do love Elias. I think Elias was a very important character as far as someone who was not a functioning member of society, so to speak. He was definitely a drug pusher,
He
gangbanger.
definitely functioned in society.
What? not as society was. I mean, he was not a good guy. He was definitely a criminal.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he's not functioning in society. Not functioning in society is like someone having a psychotic break.
I don't. It depends on how you define it.
Listen,
I guess, but.
Elias, he's not Pigpen. Like he bathes. he
doesn't follow the rules.
Getting
of society.
revenue. It's just not through legal avenues. And as an advocate of Merton's strain theory, listen, I'm not going to put the man down. He's doing what he's got to do, and drugs shouldn't be illegal anyway. Let's go, Elias. Let's go. I'm putting him next to his dad.
Does he have to do that? No, he doesn't, because he actually comes from means where he didn't have to do that necessarily.
His dad doesn't seem like he made a lot.
Yeah, but if Ben Taylor can go through medical school.
Yeah, but you're assuming that he had the intellect that his brother had. Like, what if Elias is dyslexic?
I'm just saying it's an interesting comparison. And unfortunately, again, with Cast of Thousands, you really couldn't focus intensely on any one group. We got enough. I'm actually impressed with how V did, considering it the Cast of Thousands. It does go deep enough into liking or not liking the characters. As far as like some of their backgrounds are left to our imaginations, and we don't know. You're right, we don't know. But with all that being said, I'm not arguing anyway that he's not around that, at least, because I do think he's a fun character. He's a good character, and he's important to have. As someone because of his place in society, actually did make a bang out of his buck for when the visitors took over, pretty much, because he was making more money on the black market with eggs instead of with reefer at that point, it's called it. To make him turn to the resistance to fight the visitors took an emotional moment. And when Julie drives up on him with Ben dying in the car, that's a very powerful scene. One of the most powerful scenes in the entire saga, I would say, when Elias realizes that Ben is no longer with us. So that scene alone pushes him high for me. So high, I would put him over Caleb.
Okay.
He definitely has some more moments to shine for sure, and he did make the leap to the weekly series. And even though I kind of was dismissive of his weekly series performances, um, as far as his character being written pretty one note, he still was entertaining. Michael Wright did a good job with very little material, I thought. Um, Kept him entertaining, kept him interesting at least. Um, so I put him. Now, is he better than Eleanor? That's the question. I think you would put him above Eleanor. I like Elias a lot.
Yeah, I put him above Eleanor.
Okay. All right.
Oh dear.
Do we keep Chris though? Do we keep Chris above Elias?
Yes.
You do.
He's more fun than Elias. Come on. He's just a good time. Every time he's on screen, I just got a big dumb smile on my face.
Okay, twist my arm. Next up,
Robin.
Elizabeth Max.
Robin tier. Just Robin tier. We don't even need to talk about the Jedi child. We can move on.
I want to say that Elizabeth's Jedi powers are the bane of the weekly show. And
okay, I God, I don't want to be mean, but like, yeah, I don't want to fault someone's performance because there was a director, there was a cinematography, there were people on set who were like, "Yep, that's what we want," and they did her dirty.
They did. I'm actually okay with her being in Robin as well. I'm not a fan.
Like, where else would you put her? Yeah,
maybe in D.
She don't belong in D. She's in Robin.
Maybe above Roller. Maybe.
Name one good line she has other than human love.
Good. Very good.
Absolutely not. Eons ago, in your Earth years.
But take it from me. I know what men want.
Clearly not. Ooh, Ham Tyler.
We're jumping a bit to go to Ham Tyler. I'm jumping right to Diana tier for sure.
100% Diana tier.
And
go ahead, put him above Abraham.
The difference is, honestly, is like Abraham, morals of the show, deep-seated like heart of the show.
PLD, it's Michael Ironside. We all know he's going up.
But it's Ham Tyler. Now the question is, Ham or Diana? Which one's
Diana first? What are you talking about? What is wrong with you, PLD? PLD,
I love Diana.
How dare you? Diana's definitely above Ham Tyler.
I love Diana, but man, when Ham Tyler left,
I'll flip this table. Yeah, and Diana was holding that entire show on her back. That's why she had to quit acting. I don't know if that I just said that. She had back problems after that. She had to go to a chiropractor every day.
He was the MVP because of that. He was the MVP.
It's the Diana tier.
Well, I will say I just let you name that. I didn't actually push back on that. I might have named it the Ham tier. I mean, it actually makes sense. Ham Tyler tier, Ham tier, Ham Tyler. It makes actually
I don't even eat ham. Come on, Diana's Diana. It's gotta be Diana.
We will leave this for now, and I'll table this, and maybe we'll come back.
It might come to Diana and Ham being top 2.
Could be. It could absolutely be. Okay.
Harmony's got to be A tier. Harmony was the she wasn't a waitress. She worked in like a food truck outside of a factory.
Yep.
And was introduced in the first episode of the original miniseries and was a quick love interest for one Willie, the visitor. They were absolutely adorable, and she was killed off unceremoniously, which was a devastating mistake the show made. And I'm putting her on A tier because I love her. I know she'll probably go down to B. That's fine, but my heart says
your heart says Harmony's an A tier. Okay, I will say it's kind of funny for me that
she can't go on A because there's just too many people above her, but she's high up there for me.
You made me love her a lot more than I ever did. Your enthusiasm for her was contagious. And it's not that I didn't like her before. I just didn't engage with her like you did, interestingly enough. So my initial thought without you probably would have been somewhere in the C. But I'm willing to go B. You were an A. I'm in C. We'll meet in the middle and go with B.
I'm putting her above Ben. Sorry, Ben.
Okay. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because she is
Now,
one of the best of us.
do I put her above Bri?
I could see that conversation.
I put her above Brian, but not above Daniel. So sorry, Harmony. You deserved better.
I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this. So,
Ooh, I notice who's next.
Howard K. Smith, the newscaster.
I mean, honestly, top of A.
Top of A.
He's
Above Chris.
He's very, first of all, just I do like having a real news anchor on a show.
Yeah.
Whenever they do that, I always get really excited, especially when it's because they do it a lot more in older shows. Now and movies, so I get excited when I'm like, oh, I know that's that Brokaw guy, or I know him. He's Howard Smith, or whoever it is. I always get so excited. And I do think what he provides with the show is honestly one essential, giving us kind of updates kind of globally that the show could have done a better job at. But two, he brings a realism that I think is essential for the show as well. And I really appreciate having him. I'm assuming that they just got him to sit down like maybe once a month and read a whole bunch of stuff. I think it is a very fun aspect of the show, and I always entertain when he opens the show for us. And I missed it dearly when they gave us an 18-minute long intro and cut his opening of the Freedom Network. And he gave us Frankie Weatherwax.
They did give us Frankie Weatherwax. That's true. We should do a tier ranking of the openings.
Well, we know who wins for me.
Yes. I have a hard time putting him that high up, given like his involvement in the main plot of the show, which is very little. I do love what he does story wise. I do love like what you said, the realism. What?
I feel cheated.
Your argument does hold a lot of weight. Because I do like the realism aspect. And I do love the fact. I mean, I mentioned that a few times myself, where it was nice to hear what was going on in different parts of the world, the way to kind of keep us going, in a kind of way of knowing what's happening. I can't put him above any of these guys, though.
No, fine.
I mean, to be completely honest, I want to put him down near where the Harmony, Harmony is, like down over here.
Oh,
Brian. Bernstein here is a bigger.
Okay, I'm thinking about other people we have to go through. I do think he should be above Daniel.
Love Daniel.
I mean, Daniel's more important, but he's Howard K. Smith. Come on.
All right. I'll put him there for now. I might argue later on because I do think Daniel's more important, but I'll leave him there for now.
Next is Lieutenant James, a.k.a. Diana's F buddy. No, not even F buddy, F boy. And that's BOI, boy.
Absolutely.
C tier, absolute C tier. I think if he was made today, he might be a little bit more interesting kind of himbo character, but he's like a himbo wannabe, like a proto himbo. It's not quite there. He's entertaining. I like seeing him. I love his love of Jeeps.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yes. Love his stock footage.
He likes to have relations with Diana, and I don't really know much else about him. He's just kind of there.
I will say
he lasted a long time.
He's in 8 episodes. In 8 episodes of the series.
Feels longer.
It does feel longer, but it does like Charles feels like he made more of an impression though. That's just why I say that with the B. I would say the one thing I really don't like about James is that he was made out to be very competent when he gets introduced. And then he quickly kind of became very incompetent when he hitched his ride to Diana. All of a sudden he became incompetent. I think he's probably solidly there. I would actually put him under Chang. I think Chang is more interesting.
Yeah, overall. I agree.
But I put him above Brad. I think that James has his moments. I think he would have been better off in the miniseries, like you said, like maybe a himbo character better written. It could have been a very strong character. Could have been a very
actually,
because he's kind of like he's almost like an Aryan, so that would really fit the whole Nazi allegory they're going for in the miniseries. It actually would have fit very well, I think. So poor placement as far as what he joins up. I think C is pretty solid for. All right. Next up, we got John Richard Hurd, famous genre actor, famous actor in general, a lot of sitcom thing.
He is like mini a political leader. Useless. Put him in D.
He's bumbling. He's definitely a bumbling for really someone who's
he's
how did he get
pointless.
to B?
Doesn't need to be there. Could have written him out. Could have kept him. Honestly, doesn't matter. Like, just
he's like you first meet him, you figure he's this competent leader of the fleet around the planet, and then the more you see him, the more he's like so incompetent. He must have just like must be like a nepo baby or something. At this point,
I would put him above Rollins, but not above Dupree.
I guess I could. A couple of scenes I've had that are very iconic. The scene at the medical center, which is one of the faces of the show. He has a great moment with Diana.
Yeah, but that's just aesthetic. You could say that about a plant.
No, that's true.
Hey. We could have put the crystal in here.
The volcano crystal.
Put the Spencer lightning orb in here. We should have put one of the flyers. We should have put the horse battle in here. 8.
We actually should have done a tier listing of the stock footage we did. We should have done.
Yeah.
There's still time. Maybe sometime.
I just noticed 2 Snokes.
Julie Parrish. Oh.
A. I really don't like Julie. I think she's very boring.
Wow. Look at your Miss Feminism herself, and Julie is the strong.
I'm honest and I'm fair. Okay, I'm not gonna put a glow up on a woman who doesn't deserve it.
Oh.
But I'm not gonna knock her down either. She's fine. I just think that, particularly as we go into the series, I'm like, oh my god, woman. Ugh.
I will say it is like Elias, a little bit of a tale of two Julies, the Julie of the miniseries. Not when I say miniseries, I mean both miniseries. And the beginning part of the series as well, but she does kind of go downhill quick, and she loses her luster. I agree with that, especially by the end.
It was a plummet.
But she was really one of the hearts of the resistance in the beginning of the show. So I have to give her a lot of credit. And I think right now I can't not have her at least in S tier to begin with. I'm not saying she won't be bumped down.
I just know she's going to get bumped for me because I'm looking at who we got left.
She could, absolutely.
She's an A.
But
not A, but A.
I have to like honestly speaking, without you here, I would put her above because she's that important to the show. The beginning, at least. Not there, though. I will appease the gods here, appease to your gods, and I'll put her below Abraham, but an S tier still, for now. I think she's more important than anybody in the A tier right now.
You think she's more important and relevant than Diana? If you think anyone that's watching this show for Julie, no, we're watching for
A tier, A tier. Yeah, no. Diana and Ham.
Diana is the most important character. Let's be real.
Diana and Ham are both over Julie as far as I'm concerned. But over A, Chris is at top of our A tier right now. That might change too. I think our love for Chris is blinding us a little bit to his importance. I got to be honest with you.
It's not about importance. It's about entertainment. I'm so sorry. I should have mentioned. For me, how I rate almost everything is entertainment value.
I get that too. I try to weigh both in there. That's why I'm allowed. That's why
I've been talking about relevance.
I know.
I'm trying to be fair.
Yeah, and you're doing a good job. You've been the easiest partner I've had to work with in this. We haven't had any knock them down, drag them out fights yet. I don't know if they're coming.
I never do. I always compromise. I'm a middle child.
Because I can't. To be completely honest, I could see Chris moving down to like here at some point, but I'm not sure I want to do that yet.
Ah!
But for right now, I'm going to go here. Are you okay with that for now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't tell who that is.
Christine Walsh, the
Oh,
journalist
okay.
there. I go right to C tier for her.
Yeah, same. I'm thinking same. I'd probably go above Chang because I just think she's a more important character.
Yes. She's one of those
While I
archetypes
do think her
original.
role is pretty pivotal, she's just sort of there and
Yeah.
does her thing and then is killed. And while that is pivotal, and I would absolutely not rewrite it, I wouldn't recast it, I wouldn't change anything about it whatsoever, really. It's just there's so many other characters that are so much more entertaining and engaging, unfortunately, that,
Yeah.
while that plotline is essential, it's just kind of shadowed.
Agreed. I agree with that. I agree with that completely. So I will put her there. I could see her and Ben switching at some point potentially. Maybe doing this because
Yeah.
well, Ben had been. She kind of did have a little bit more important part, and she had a
Honestly, I
big
think I'd put them both
open seat
in
here.
C because I think I mean, I know I'm gonna have some higher ones,
Yeah,
and we're
me
kind
too.
of high. What do you call it? We're kind of stacking the higher ones. Some people are gonna have to move down.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, Roller, you're gonna end up being Robin tier. I'm sorry to say.
Well, we got some Robins coming up.
We do. You're not wrong.
Okay, now next is Kyle, son of
Bates.
Nathan. He's our motorcycle boy, introduced in the television series 2 times because he was just so special. Now, PLD, I'm curious, where are you putting our guy, Kyle Bates, the rich boy with a heart?
Oh, this is a tough one for me because I will say I have a soft spot for this character.
Same.
I do, for whatever reason, he does a lot of stupid things, gets involved in one of my least favorite storylines in the entire saga, and yet I can't. And then he becomes vegan ham.
I just can't hate him.
But I still can't
I
hate
like
him.
the guy.
Exactly. You want him to succeed. You want him to do well. You want him to find real love with somebody else, and you want him to find like
We don't want him to be in the mother-daughter love triangle anymore.
No. I'm kind of sad that he kind of became the Ham Tyler replacement. It became Donovan and Kyle instead of Donovan and Ham. That was a tough. I think it's because I felt bad for him as an underdog like that. No one's going to fill Michael Ironside's shoes. No one would have. And he had to try to fit that role while still maintaining himself. I think he did a pretty good job with it. And he was involved with one of the more interesting storylines of the weekly series with his father, I think.
With that, I almost kind of wish he would have been maybe a little younger, maybe like a high school student. Then he could have been a replacement character for Sean or Donovan, especially since he just lost his own father and Donovan had lost his own son. I think that would have been a little bit more interesting.
No, you're not
And
wrong.
a little bit more realistic. Though Donovan did have quite a number of little sad homeless orphans he could have adopted, as we see time and time again.
He definitely did. He definitely absolutely did. He is definitely above C. I kind of want to put him in A.
I kind of want to put him in A too.
Like the problem I have, really my problem right now is this guy. Because every time I look, I go, he was so important to the miniseries. Like he was so important. And I feel like we keep pushing him down because he was so punchable. We hated him. Like
I almost like having Daniel and Kyle next to each other because I think they're sort of polar opposites. And they really play interesting and similar roles.
Yeah. And Kyle went the right way.
Like, I wish we could have had them be, like, on the same show and foils for one another.
Yeah, that would have been
and show, like, divergent paths.
100%. 100%. So I would definitely I'd almost do this. I don't know.
I'm putting Kyle above Daniel, but yeah, I'd say same.
Okay. So you're okay with moving Daniel above Charles at this point, though. I know we love the big dick energy, but I think he's just a little more important overall. All right, we're good. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8 here at this point. So you might be going back down to B anyway pretty soon.
Yeah.
We'll
They
find out.
both might.
Lydia.
I mean, I love Lydia. She's interesting, but I gotta put her like next to Charles in B tier. She's entertaining, but really she's only entertaining on screen with Diana and at no other time.
Yeah, and that whole idea that she was going to become a good guy in the second season, that would have been a disaster, I think. Although maybe it would have given her a chance to shine outside of it, because she was pretty much a one-note character, foil for Diana. But she did her job pretty well. I mean, I definitely loved her. She definitely put her heart and soul into it. She had some interesting things with her brother. She died for a couple episodes, I thought, and she didn't. Um, I think I am okay with it. I would actually even be okay with putting her a little lower because she doesn't end up having a whole lot to do overall, considering how much she's in the show.
Yeah, I'm okay with putting her maybe like behind Harmony. Would you go lower?
Go there. I think I'd go there. It's kind of weird. I'm watching this. I'm like, there's a part of me, like I am very back and forth on this one. There's a part of me put her in C tier. The part of me that would put her in A tier because she is very present in the show. But there's a part of me is like, I don't really love her though. We don't need her with Diana, and their relationship became kind of tired after a bit. So I think I'll compromise with myself and put it in B, and you're okay with B, so that's probably the best place for her, probably. I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'll go with that. All right. Are you so you go with that at this point?
Yeah.
Okay. Maggie Blodgett.
This is so hard because I really like her character.
I do
I
too.
really, really like her character. And honestly, like of my own volition, I'd probably put her pretty high B, but just with all these characters, I think inevitably she has to go pretty high on C. But she is a
Yeah.
very good character. I like what she does. I like the
Too.
actor. I think she gave a really, really great memorable performance. It's
Mhm.
really hard. I'm like, I could just see her in like so many. I can see
Yeah.
her so much above a lot of these other characters, but also below them too.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on a lot of that. I think I'm happy putting her right where she is for now, knowing she's eventually going to go down to C, probably. But I do like her a lot. She's actually one of the characters. I don't know if I ever really told this or not. I'll say it though. When it comes to the books, she has a little more in the adaptation. But when they went to the books that went along with the series, the authors weren't told much about the weekly series, but they were told some things. And she actually is in the first book. I don't know if the writer, I don't know if she was a character that was considered for the weekly series and then dropped or whatever for whatever reason. But she makes her way in a couple of the books actually.
I love when the writers on the different mediums are not clued in to what each other are doing. It's so fun
Oh, it
every
is. It
time.
is. I will say one of the books we are going to read is called The Pursuit of Diana, and I think it was like like a stupid but fun thing to do. Like the idea was basically Howard Weinstein, who was a good sci-fi writer, wrote this book that was the follow-up to V the Final Battle. Like he knew the series was coming and he knew it wasn't going to be his story, yet he wrote it anyway. I think that's a weird decision to make. Like a lot of the series writers were like, we're going to write a book about the series that takes place during the series. And a lot of them, they go over the country, all over the country, New York, Chicago, things like that. But the ones that do of LA or LA based, they feel like they are just would have been weekly series kind of episodes. But this was like it was only going to be told by the series. The series had to follow up right away. So you're basically competing with yourself. It's like almost an alternate universe kind of thing because it happens completely differently. Um, but I like that too. I do like that too because we do get a lot of fun alternate takes and things. So we'll get there. I'm okay. I'm okay with Maggie being there. Good enough. Next up, oh, it's Mark. Speaking of Maggie, it is Brad's replacement for the final battle, who is kind of a dick.
Robin tier.
Robin tier. Oof. Look, he definitely didn't treat Maggie right. Absolutely was a jealous.
Robin tier.
But he did also sacrifice himself, despite Ham, his mortal arch enemy Ham, who he never liked the entire time. shares that moment, takes the gun, and sacrifices himself so everybody can get away. So he has a good moment. I would not put him in Robin tier.
Elizabeth has plenty of good moments, and so does. That doesn't mean anything. She's still Robin tier.
I am going to argue that I would put him. I actually, honestly, would put him with his compatriot. Him and Brad would be together for me.
How dare you defame Brad this way?
I'm putting Brad above him because Brad
desecrating my Brad.
That does put him above Father Doyle for you.
I feel like both of them should be in Robin tier, but I got rejected. It's fine. Vetoed.
I think I will use a little bit of veto on that because I do think having them together is kind of a fun statement because they are the same character, except for different 4-letter name. It's pretty much.
Mark deserves to be in Robin tier.
No,
I just want to publicly know that's where I was going. I mean, he's probably going to need to go there anyway because we have so many characters left.
He might end up there anyway. So fingers crossed for you. Next up, this is Martin. Yes, this is Martin. I looked at the other one to make sure. This is definitely Martin, though. Okay.
This
Martin.
is hard. I mean, I want to go. I want to go Diana.
Diana tier for Martin. Interesting. My initial gut was not Diana tier, but when you said that, I'm kind of like, yeah, he is that important for the whole miniseries. Like, he's probably one of the most important miniseries.
He's so important. They brought him back when they killed him.
They killed him and they said, we fucked up. We got to get somebody else in here. We got to get Martin back, or Frank Ashmore back. Yeah. I mean, as the first of the 5th column, we see how he helps Donovan out throughout as a brave soldier.
I just think he's one of the most memorable characters. I love the actor.
Yes, me too.
His role is pivotal. He's entertaining. I'm just going to delight every time he's on screen, whether it's Martin or Discount Martin. Absolutely love him.
Yeah.
He's above Julie for me.
Camaraderie with Donovan. Camaraderie with even Ham Tyler to brief him out. It's like an anti-camaraderie, I guess you'd say. But he's got camaraderie with everybody pretty much. Above Julie. I'll give you that one for now. How about that? I'll give you that one for now. Yeah. Okay. Nathan Bates.
That's so hard. I would probably go next to Charles somewhere.
You know where I would put him?
Oh my God, where?
I love me.
I know you do. I know you do.
I think his character might be the most important character of the weekly series.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
He had a lot of fun. Now, I would agree with you that he got a little stale in terms of they didn't know how to write him. I can't blame him, though. He made a lot out of his time there. His relationship with Diana, his seediness with Julie, his back and forth with Kyle, becoming a good father and sacrificing himself.
But he's so two-dimensional bad guy. But he does have one of only like 2 deaths that the show actually cared to, let matter.
It mattered, yeah, and the music and that and everything else. And I think that's what made him less than two-dimensional.
I mean, we do know that there are going to be other people in Diana tier. He automatically has to drop to A, but I do agree that he's up there.
He is definitely
up there.
I get it. But you're okay with that for now, knowing he'll probably get pushed down?
Oh, he's definitely getting pushed down. But yeah, I'm okay with that for now.
All right.
I can't tell who that is next.
This is Oswald.
Oswald. Well, I mean, in my heart of hearts says he belongs in Diana's here.
But we can't really do that.
No. Gosh. I mean, entertainment value.
That's what's pushing him because he's a guilty pleasure for sure.
He's so entertaining. I really like him. I think he brings a lot to like the visitors in the show. Gotta go top of C. Top of C.
That's actually I honestly can't really argue that. Because theoretically, if there's anybody else, I think they would probably put him in D or even in Robin maybe. But to me, he was one of the best things about the last few episodes. Like, he was entertaining and funny and engaging. And when he came on screen, I didn't want to look away, and I was kind of curious as to what he was going to say. He was fun. He was fun, and at a time when we really needed fun because the show was getting to be such a dreck at the end. He was a shining beacon of entertainment. So I think, yes, he probably deserves to be here, but I will let him go up to here because he was that entertaining for us. All right, moving on. Pamela or Ursa.
You know, I love it's Sarah Douglas, right?
Sarah Douglas, and I
I
love
love Sarah
Sarah
Douglas.
Douglas.
Huge Conan fan. I love
Mhm.
those early Richard Donner Supermans.
Mhm.
But in terms of this show, I honestly don't even remember her whatsoever.
She was basically a
I mean, I
combination of Leah
literally I
Jo.
remember her, but
Okay.
like
She's kind of forgotten after,
throwaway.
yeah, yeah.
I would have to put her in D.
They put her there because John was already so bumblefucked at that point that they needed a better person in charge so
And
Diana could have
then
a
Leah
foil.
came and replaced that role.
Leah, yeah, they did kind of replace that in a way as well. So you say, I'm sorry, you said bottom of D?
Well, anywhere in D. I'd
Thing?
probably put her above Rollins. Probably put her above John.
Mm-hmm. I would go so far as I would put her above James, to be honest with you. I do think that she was good enough she had enough presence to pull off the role in a short amount of time. Her and Steven together were catty in a good way.
I would definitely put her behind James. I think James was far more interesting character and entertaining. Not interesting, sorry, entertaining. And memorable.
Okay. I will let that go. I won't argue that. I won't fight for that one.
Are we
Sometimes you gotta choose
moving?
your battles. We're gonna move Mark down to D,
Yeah.
and Brad probably will join him soon. So
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. So, all right. Next up, we got Philip, Martin's twin brother,
I mean,
developed from a mutual zygote.
it's so fun. His character is just so fun. I like him so much.
I know, I do too.
I mean, I'm going really high with him.
Oh, you're shooting for the moon, huh?
I'm probably going A.
Okay. So here's the issue that I have with that. How much of us loving him is dependent on Martin?
I don't care. Look,
um,
he is his own character. If anything,
he is.
PLD, you're gonna be so mad at me. I think I actually like him more than Martin.
Really?
He was interesting because he was such a high-ranking officer. He was always pitting Diana and Lydia against each other. He was always fighting with Diana. He was so bad at everything he did. How did no one ever notice what he was doing? It was ridiculous. He sword fought slash they were just doing a tango with Donovan. Like, I really love Philip. Like, I've been calling him Martin 2.0, but really, I think Martin was Philip 2.0. Really, Philip was he was more successful. Martin was Diana's secondhand man, but Philip was a high-ranking officer.
I mean, he did say, "You killed my brother better than anyone since Inigo Montoya."
I would put Philip and Martin next to each other.
No, I can't put Philip in S tier. I cannot put Philip in S tier.
Okay, I just wanted on the record, I would put him in Diana's tier above his brother.
I definitely cannot do that. I can't. I will not. That will be a veto. I will veto very little in this. I will fully veto almost nothing in this because I trust you as far as your partnership goes, but I cannot, in good faith, put him in Diana's tier. I honestly think if we had had more time with him, he might have been there eventually. We just didn't get enough time with him. I personally want to put him about right there.
Oh, he's got to go higher than that.
More than Daniel.
He's going higher than Kyle for sure.
Kyle. Okay. In that case, I could put him above Caleb. Can we move Chris down to here?
Yeah, he's got to go down. We just like him so much.
We do. And now I know I'm glad you're seeing that too. That he's just too high up. I almost want to move Kyle up.
Yeah.
Like Kyle or Chris?
I feel like Chris maybe needs to go to B. Hard as it is, top of B above Charles.
Yeah, we love you, Mickey Jones. We do. But yeah, that makes more sense. So we'll revisit Philip at the end. We'll see. I'll put him above Kyle for now. Because you want that. Because you want him in Diana tier. So that's why. So I'll let it go for now. All right. Fine.
Yeah, but you know who we got next?
Robert Maxwell.
Excuse me, sir. Dr. Robert Maxwell. And we all know I'm putting him next to Ham Tyler.
It's ridiculously high. I'm
asking about this. I'm so serious. He's so chaotic neutral. I think he brings a lot to the show. He's just like science, science, science. Oh shit, my kids are fucking everything up. Ugh. Family man. He's getting persecuted because he's a scientist. I think he's very important, and then he's unceremoniously killed off. He's absolutely a phenomenal character. He's one of my favorite characters on this show. He's up there with Ham for me. Like if you gave me the option of who am I killing off, Ham or Dr. Robert Maxwell, I'm killing Ham.
Holy shit. I never thought I'd ever hear you say.
Actually, now that I think about it, I probably wouldn't. But I would definitely kill Martin and Philip over Robert Maxwell.
Okay. I was about to say, like, I might that.
I said it with my full chest, and then I realized I was wrong. So you have to admit when you're wrong.
Okay. All right. I was about to pull a U and put you and just take you off the screen.
You were gonna rob me?
I was thinking about robbing you. Almost, but I didn't. I respect you too much to do it. But damn, I had the impulse. I'm not gonna lie. I gotta admit when I have these impulses, and then I step above them. Okay. Look, my friend. I love your love for Robert Maxwell. I truly respect.
I think I was wrong when I said Abraham was my number one. I think it is Robert Maxwell.
It might be the way you're talking. I have not seen you.
Yeah, I think he is my number one.
Okay. Damn, above Diana.
So hard. I love Robert Maxwell. Maybe it's because I hate Robin so much, but I really do like his character. It's because I like Back to the Future, and he's basically Doc Brown. He's just that chaotic neutral, and I love it.
Okay.
He just loves doing science.
I do understand. I do. My initial thoughts, if you were not here, I would probably put him somewhere in the low end of A tier.
I'm too bad.
But you're passionate about your arguments. And I do like the character a lot. And so I want to put him side by side with the character that I'm stupidly passionate about. And that's Nathan Bates. I will even put him above Nathan Bates to round out our S tier for now, knowing that both.
I mean, we both know there's like two more people who are going to go in that, so they're both getting bumped to A.
Probably both getting bumped to A. But these are the people we are both stupidly passionate about. It seems. I mean,
I would put Julie below both of them.
You keep saying that about Julie, and I feel like I keep thinking about it more. And I think like most V fans and most fans who are watching the show would think it's blasphemy.
Just because they made her the main character doesn't mean she needs to be our favorite. They didn't write her well enough.
They wrote her pretty well in the original series, the miniseries, though. I think she was pretty well written during that. I do think that. the young medical student who had to become this guerrilla leader, needing pep talks from Ruby, but talking with Donovan and being so forthcoming and being so strong as a leader, despite not feeling so strong herself, going through the conversion process, fighting that off. Um, Moments when, even in the weekly series, when she has that connection with Ham, who, by the way, Vagrant was pushing for a Julie Ham love life at one point, love romantic story at one point.
Now I want to move her down to Robin.
Ah!
She just wanted to
Wow.
kiss Michael Ironside. Honey, I get it, but no. Because
I,
Donovan and Ham definitely were more likely to kiss each other than for him to be going with her. Come on now. Come on.
oh, I think he likes her. I think he likes her passion. I don't know. I think he'd be convinced.
Yeah, I really don't. I don't see it. Nah.
I'm leaving it as is for now. I think, although we'll return to it, because I do think that
Well,
the
because
end of
I
the
see
series.
who we have next, and we don't need to talk about it quite yet.
All right, we just do that. Are we done?
Yep, Robin went to Robin tier, and she'll
Robin
be at
goes
the
and
bottom
then
of
Robin
Robin
tier.
tier.
Yeah, there's no argument there. Marley's favorite character easily from the saga, especially of the characters here. I still think the other kid is worse, but that's another argument. He's not in this list, so we don't have to worry about it.
Next we have,
Donovan.
well, obviously he's going to Diana tier.
Yeah, and this is the question mark we're going to have. I'm going to throw him here for now. This does push
That's
Bates
hard.
down. That does push Bates
I mean, I'm
down.
telling you, man, keep Nathan up there and bring Julie down.
That's not the argument we're having now. We're tabling that still. That could happen. That could happen. The question we have is, where does Donovan go? I think he's definitely above Robert, above Julie, above Martin, above Abraham. I kind of got to put him above Ham.
Yeah, I put him above Ham. It's just Diana versus Donovan. I mean, honestly, I feel like this should be our end conversation.
Yeah. You know what? I'm okay with that. All right. We're going to come back to this one at the end. We won't talk about Donovan much. We don't have to talk about Donovan much. We'll save that for the ending conversation. All right. Next up, Ruby.
I love Ruby.
I love
think
Ruby.
Hers is one of the only deaths that really mattered. Her performance was fun. She was extraordinarily memorable and relatable.
Mm-hmm. She actually, I said Julie was the heart of the resistance. She actually probably was the heart of the resistance.
I really do think that. And she's what really pulled the pin in Daniel being evil and irredeemable. I would put her. I would probably put her above Elias.
Yeah. I'm thinking of putting her down here only because I think actually her and Eleanor are good side by sides. I feel like, because they have that kind of like, this is the evil side, this is the good side of humanity in a way. I get that too. This is what my gut says. What do you
agree with that?
You get that? Okay. I do like her better than this is a case where liking a character actually does come to play more, because I definitely like or love Ruby versus Eleanor. Even if Eleanor does do a good job of being punchable. All right, Sancho.
Oh, I love a Sancho.
I do love a Sancho.
I'd probably put him around Harmony. I think they're kind of similar in that they're both just really good, kind people doing the right thing in a hard situation.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with solid C, solid B for him. I agree with you 100%. Not much to say about him, really. He's just a gardener who gets put in the wrong place, the wrong time. I love that he uses his experience at smuggling people across the border to try to put that to good use. I think that was part of the showcasing of all the different sides of society that he was showcasing at that point. And yet he just was a good human. He's just a good human, risked everything for the right reasons. Yeah, I'm okay with that. It was kind of a nitpick if I decided to do one of those, although, yeah, I'm okay with that. I like Sancho a lot. Brief amount of time. Unfortunately, I think the actor passed away prior to the series. I wonder if he would have been considered. He makes an appearance in one of the books, if I remember correctly. It's been a while. So, all right, let's move on. Your favorite character? Who? Sean Donovan.
Between the Robins, mother and daughter.
Between the Robins. Really that low?
Yeah.
Why do you hate him so much?
Oh, PLD, he's just so annoying.
I mean, this is like, I think this way towards that other guy, Henry Atkins. And I don't understand. You don't understand. And I don't
Yeah, I
understand.
don't get
I
it.
don't understand. I don't, and I feel this way about Sean. So I think Sean is good motivation for Donovan most of the time in the miniseries, at least.
He
I
just
like the fact it does.
slowly turned into a little Daniel, but didn't do it as well as that actor.
True, but it was also converted and mindfuck too. So there's a kind of a little bit of a difference there. He wasn't doing it by choice per se, because we know the Sean.
No, I'm talking about the actual performance.
Oh, performance. Okay. Yeah, young Nicky Cat wasn't quite there yet as far as performances go. Young actor from Dazed and Confused, as well as from Boston Public, I think that show was.
Who was he in Dazed and Confused?
He was the guy who fought. God, he had the fight with Rap.
Okay, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah,
I know exactly
the greaser kind of guy or whatever.
The way that I know that movie.
I can't even describe it. I know. I can picture the scene. I just can't tell you more than that. So I'm glad you know.
You just got to get one punch in.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
And that didn't work out well for him.
Didn't work out well at all for them.
Like, I got his ass kicked. It was great.
So that was Nicky Cat. That was Sean Donovan. So he was better in that movie than he was in that small brief time. I don't know if I want to put him in Robin.
PLD, where else is he gonna go?
I gotta put him better than Roller.
I mean, they're everything's gonna be moving down based on the last couple characters we have.
I love Sean in the miniseries. I like Sean in the miniseries. But
I never liked Sean. Just a full Robin. I mean, I'll put him above Elizabeth.
Put him above Roller for me.
All right.
I won't fight from that much because he's not there enough to really care. Okay.
Our next guy, Steven.
Steven.
Yep, I'm putting him right next to John.
Right next to who?
John.
Really that low?
I mean, probably above John, but like he came and he blinked and he was no Lydia.
Oh, by the way, let me just, before I do this, I'm gonna put him down here.
I mean, honestly, you could probably put
4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, I've got to do some organization here. 3, 7. So these two got to go down now. Wow, Brian's now in C tier. There, Brad joins Mark. Pamela ends up being. I mean,
honestly, I would do Pamela, Steven, and John all next to each other.
Wow. See, I am 100% against you on this. I think Steven's character is phenomenal. I love Steven.
Drop Sean down to Robin.
Well, I would definitely do that, but I'm talking, but you don't understand. I'm talking, I would put him in B tier.
Oh, okay.
I love the fact that he has the thing. He has the thing with Pamela. He has the thing against Diana. He has the thing with Eleanor. He has the thing where Ham kills him off brilliantly. He has Caleb's call. He has the thing where he's the one who actually orders Daniel Bernstein's death. He is the one who talks with Robert in the first place. I think is a good shit weasel villain kind of character. I think there's he's much better than John.
I mean, but unfortunately, he's put on screen against Diana, who's much more memorable and entertaining to watch. And while his role is very pivotal, I definitely wouldn't put him above Lydia.
I honestly would. I would put him.
Well, you already moved him up a lot further than I would, so I say around Lydia is probably as high as he could go.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I'm saying where I would probably put him.
Okay. Yeah, significantly higher than me.
I'd probably put him there. To be honest with you, around there, depending on.
I mean,
Charles has more fun to him.
I'm willing to go next to Lydia.
Okay, he's definitely more than Brian is.
Yes,
as far as I'm concerned. Oh, all right. Sure. I won't argue anymore. Guess what that means? It does mean that Sean does go down to Robin. James goes down to D. That's right. All right, 3 left. I grouped these guys together Stanley and Lynn Bernstein, the Bernstein parents. I put them as like a one homologous couple because they're pretty much together the entire time.
I
So
like them.
I like them as well. I think they have one of the most pivotal moments in the show.
Yes.
After Abraham dies, and
I think they have quite a few very pivotal moments.
The pool scene when Daniel throws a laser blaster out.
They're really great. I kind of like where you. I'd maybe put them, around Sancho and Harmony, like to me.
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
I'd be good with that. Yeah. I mean, they're definitely less than Abraham and Daniel, but like they are the foils to them both in a way. But when they have moments to shine, like I love the actors; they're both very good. When he comes home and he has his arm burned, and like, what happened? Like they burned it. And he just has this like stoic look of tortured soul. But again, like this is my favorite scene. I always go back to obviously is the Robert Maxwell reading Abraham's death or goodbye to Robert Maxwell when after the strong scene when Abraham tells Stanley about his mother and the concentration camps, convincing Stanley. Then Stanley repeats it the very next episode. Stanley repeats that story in a way to his wife to get him to say, "We got to help the resistance out, or else we haven't learned a thing." Probably makes the statement of V. Don't let history repeat itself. We have to help. Despite us being targeted, despite us being tortured, despite everything going on. Like you saw that Abraham's like that heart and moral of the story. Stanley does that for me as well. His son does that in a different way, but similar way. So I'm okay with putting them right there as well. They only have really the 2 episodes as well because they only make that one really quick appearance in the final battle, or they kind of after the Blues go up, they show Stanley with a different Lynn, different actress. But
how dare you replace Bonnie Bartlett?
I know. I think Bonnie Bartlett's like, I'm not coming on for a day. Fuck that, probably. It was Liddy down stage. Chang goes down there. I mean, John is in the Robin tier. I never expected John to be Robin tier. I don't love him, but I didn't expect him to be Robin tier. So interestingly enough. Okay, we got Tony Wachon Leonetti.
This one's hard, but I would honestly, I'd probably put him up near Elias. I just think he's awesome. Wow. I just think he's great. And he should have been around the entire show. Killing him was such a mistake.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. I will say he's kind of like the anti-Chris in a way because Ham has Chris while Donovan has Tony. So when Tony and Chris run around, Donovan and Ham get to have their great camaraderie together. Otherwise, it would have been Donovan with Tony and Ham with Chris. But Tony does have some wonderful moments in a short period of time. Really, the short period of time is the only thing that really kind of drags him down a little bit because he's not exactly pivotal. He is definitely Donovan's sidekick.
Well, I mean, I'm cool with putting him next to Chris because they're basically the same, but that makes him entertaining and fun.
Yeah, I agree with
Only he died.
Well, yeah. I would keep. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because he did make a great for the time he had, the short time he had, bang for his buck kind of role again. Memorable death, kind of. I mean, just like just the fact of how he died. I like the fact that they didn't show him. I don't know, they couldn't show him because it was NBC in 1983, but Mark Singer played that so well that it went well for me. But yeah, I love my favorite scene with Tony will always be, well, I have 2 favorite scenes. A, because he's the one who discovers the conversion process thing about the left hand, brilliant investigating journalist that he is. And also the scene when Donovan calls him up and Tony has the quick line, "Is that you, Uncle Pedro? We're having trouble with the phone." That whole sequence I thought was funny. So I'll give Tony go up there. All right. Let me do Sancho down.
Oh, okay, hold up. We can't put Ben and D.
Ben and D. Yeah, that's tough. Who goes down to D?
I mean, Brian.
We can't put Maggie above Brian, really. Can you? Oswald above? That's what the
Oswald's got to be C. I love Oswald.
I can't put Christine in D.
Well, maybe Christine. No, it's gotta
Be Ben, I think.
Yeah. And then we have, obviously, I mean, just go ahead and take him straight up to Diana. Willie.
Yeah, where in S is going to be the question. But while we think about that, I'm going to move this down, obviously, because Doyle's going to go down here at this point. So that's 1, 2, 3. So right now we have our 7 Robin tiers. Looks like Christine's going down to D anyway, and I have a hard time doing that, man. I love Oswald, but I almost feel like you have to put him at the top of D. I almost feel that way. I know.
I don't know if we can abide by that.
I know.
Fine.
But because I think Christine's just more important overall. And I love Oswald.
Important, clearly. His role was about entertainment. He was the funny guy. I mean, Julie could go to A.
I'm gonna say something, and you're not gonna want to hear it. You're really not gonna want to hear it.
Abraham.
I am gonna say Abraham. I love
and
Abraham.
I hardcore disagree. Hardcore disagree.
I think Abraham deserves to be. I think Abraham and Ruby should actually be together as the friends that they are.
I mean, okay, I'm willing to make Abraham go to A, but he's got to be top of A.
Top of A.
No.
Fine.
Okay, now I think if you're talking about the face of B, I really think it's Willie. Because he's really the breakout guy. And I think he's probably one of the reasons that people came back watching it, because they like him so much. They kept him around for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do think that's about right. Now it's just Mike and Diana.
And then after that, we'll figure out, we'll do a final tweaking. But at this point, it is Mike or Diana. Mark Singer and his acting chops and his facial expressions, his hand acting, and his chest.
I'll hear which way you want to go first.
I don't
Diana's
really
utter
know.
seduction, her chewing the scenery, her sparkly outfits, her giant hair, the sequins, the sparkles, the pizzazz.
I will admit, I have to admit something to you, that part of the issue I have with not putting Donovan first, if I put Donovan first, is that it is a complete nostalgia thing, because as a child, I would play V and be Mike Donovan. That's how that character was to me. He was like one of my favorite. It was Donovan and Luke Skywalker when I was growing up. Those are the two. I've changed probably a lot since then.
I mean, when I was a kid, I played Resident Evil and I was Alice, so I get it. Get it.
I love Donovan because he's not necessarily Julie's the leader of the resistance, but Donovan's like the field general in a way. But he also works for himself too. There's just like, he's a good guy. He's a great guy. But he's gooder. He is gooder. He has great chemistry with Michael Ironside. The two of them carried the weekly series to make it watchable.
Come on, PLD, give us the results. Survey says
I'm going to give it to... I want to have a tie. I want a tie between Donovan and Diana, but I can't do that. You're obviously going Diana.
Am I?
Aren't you?
Am I?
What do you say?
I'm going Mike Donovan.
You're going Donovan. I gotta go with Donovan.
He's the Beastmaster. What do you want?
He is the Beastmaster. He is the Beastmaster. No, I don't disagree. Not that I disagree. It's not that you're weak. I just disagree, because Donovan was the show for me. Growing up, Diana was
like... on a long diatribe describing Donovan, so I felt like I needed to balance it.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's a good point. That's a good point. And I'm happy you did because Diana deserves her laurels for sure. She was Mike's opposite and was the other reason to watch the show. Um, but I think Diana didn't carry it as much as Donovan and especially during the weekly series, because as Diana was trying to carry it in different ways, and she did the best she could. But there was a true, genuine chemistry between Mark Singer and Michael Ironside for a bit, that first part of the weekly series, which you couldn't touch. It was just so good. It was so fun, so good. And even when Michael Ironside's left, Donovan had great moments with Kyle. He had great moments with Willie. He had great moments
I
with
feel like he's one
his
of those
other.
actors that can have chemistry with anyone.
Yes, and he did, and that was the great part about it. So I wish we had gotten some more between Donovan and Nathan Bates. I think that would have been a lot of fun. I think it's a missed opportunity that they have. But at the end of the day, Donovan's number one. Should we rename the tier to the Donovan tier?
No, keep it Diana. I think that's fair.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, I can even call it the D&D tier, D&D tier. But all right. So this is our tier. Are we good with it? Let's go down the list. There's 7 tier for the Diana tier. Donovan number 1,
Okay,
Diana
so
number
hold
2,
up. Oh,
Ham number 3, Willie number 4, Martin number 5, Julie number 6, Robert number 7.
okay. So I would definitely put Robert above Julie.
Mhm. This is a group. This is a duo. This is our combined tier. We are doing this together.
Yes.
So I don't want to veto you or overrule you the entire. This is a review, not a PLD tier list. This is a review tier list. I will give you that.
Would you like me to make an argument?
No, because I understand your. Well, go ahead, make your argument. I'm
Okay.
thinking about it. Go
So
ahead.
here's my thing. While Julie is in the beginning the heart of the uprising against the visitors, she, I feel like, saw what was happening and kind of got put into a role very quickly. Whereas Robert saw what was happening, but he had a family,
Mm.
and that put him in a different position. And then
Mhm.
his family became so integral to the visitors, and there was so much issue because Robin was abducted and then impregnated. Ugh, that sounds gross just thinking about it. And in addition to that, he, unlike Julie, is I say it as a joke, but chaotic neutral. He is that scientist at heart. There are times where he's not thinking about anything else other than the science and his family. And that puts him, and the show does actually allow that to happen where he does get into these like moral situations of who do I side with? They're threatening my child.
Mm.
Um, I just think that his stories, because his family became so interested, ended up being more important. And I think had he been allowed to live, he kind of, we almost wouldn't need Willie. We could have him with I almost said Robin, not Robin, Elizabeth,
Mhm.
kind of acting as that mentor role.
Mm.
Whereas Julie just became significantly less important. And not
Yeah.
only that, but I mean, they just didn't seem to know what to do with her. Let's make her the love interest for Donovan. Oh, well, let's not do that. Let's give her a different love interest. She's like bouncing
Right.
around. This show is not passing the Blacktail test. Then, she is a scientist, but like, what is her science exactly? We're real vague on that.
That's true.
God. But with
Research
Robert,
scientist.
we do know he specifically is a paleontologist.
Right. We do know that for
And
sure.
we do see him doing science in a way that makes much more sense than what Julie was ever doing. And I just think that I can't help but ever think that the role of this situation for a parent is just more engaging.
Okay. Okay. I can't really disagree. I would say if we were just tier ranking the 5 miniseries episodes, the miniseries and the final battle, I would argue that Julia was more. She was heavier than Robert. But given the weekly series, downfall of Julia, I should say, because Robert obviously didn't do anything. It's not not Julie's fault that Robert wasn't around. He probably would have degraded with the writing as well, but he left on a higher note and didn't have that default or that downslash, I should say. So Julie was great in the miniseries, and I would argue she'd probably be up higher for me if we just were doing the miniseries, but we're not just doing the miniseries. And by the end, after she left Science Frontiers, she really didn't have much of anything to do. Hell, she skipped out a couple episodes towards the end. And she was going to be killed off in the season finale anyway. So I'm not going to nitpick anymore because it's only a different spot anyway. She still stays in the S tier, which is right considering she was the resistance leader. I'm okay with that. So, all right, moving down to A then. So Abraham on top. I still think that's a little high, but I'm okay with him staying there. Again, it's more for me about longevity as far as that goes. But he is a very likable character, and he does serve a wonderful moral purpose, especially as the connection between, considering this was an allegory of Nazi Germany, having him lived through Nazi Germany was definitely a great source of connectivity. I know Nathan's high for you, but I do love Nathan. I'm not going to argue him being any higher. He's on my S tier probably, but I don't know who I'd knock down, so I can't argue that either. So, all right, Elias is there next. Ruby next, and Ruby might be. I'm trying to look at this from viewers' perspectives. Also, I always try to look at. I'm not letting it influence me, but I'm thinking people are going to be surprised that Julie's so low. I think people are going to be surprised that Abraham and Ruby are so high.
How dare!
I get that, and I'm not going to change it because of that. That's up to the viewer. Leave comments, say why, make your arguments in the comments. Yeah. Let's see. Eleanor after Ruby makes sense. I think Philip is too high. I do think Philip is too high. I would, at the very least.
Oh, I totally disagree.
I would, at the very least, put Kyle above him.
I'm cool with that.
Cool with that.
I just love Philip. My adoration of him has been increasing every episode.
I have to be honest here. I feel Philip goes down around the Charles angle. That's my.
I don't agree. In that case, I'd say move Charles up.
No, I would not do that. I actually think that Daniel is too low. I think Daniel's right here in the B. I actually would at least move him up here.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I think Daniel's more than Philip.
I don't agree with that.
I do.
I mean, I would be more willing to move Elias down and move Daniel up. So Elias would be next to his father.
I think Daniel's higher than Philip.
Okay.
I am having a very hard time keeping Philip in A tier.
I can't not, man.
I would be willing to not argue anymore if you give me this. I
don't see it.
He was only in 4 episodes.
Okay, hear me out.
And he was a dumb motherfucker.
Okay, hear me out. He was the bright spot in those episodes. In those last 4 episodes, he was probably my favorite moment of the entire 19 episodes when he and Donovan did that sword fight dance. I just found him so entertaining. I guess.
But more than Elias, who had a very pivotal role in the miniseries, owned the Club Creole, which is a big part of the set.
I mean, the Club Creole thing was awful. I hated every moment of it, if I'm being honest. Okay. I didn't enjoy it. I wish they'd gone a different route with him.
Okay.
The only part that was okay was Willie making smoothies, and they took that away from us. Although at least they said he missed his splendor.
He did miss his splendor.
I would be okay if he had like a cool mansion with a pool or something. Just the Club Creole just didn't work for me at all.
Okay.
And it clearly didn't work for the show either because they exploded it.
True. So give me that. Give me this, and I won't argue anymore, even though Phil should be lower, I think, still.
If you really think he should be lower, then I'm fine with him where he is.
I do. Okay. All right. Then we'll agree to be, this is our compromise here. Okay. Caleb or Chris?
I mean, I'm fine with how it is.
You are. Okay.
Because I do think that our sidekick boys should be together.
Yeah, you're right. I like that too. I'm okay with that too. Okay.
Now, if you want to switch them, that's fine, but I do think they should be together.
No, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with them. It's my lover, Chris. I want to bump him up, but like he's probably more suited to that.
So for B tier, we have Philip, Caleb,
Chris,
Barber, Tony, Charles,
Howard K. Smith.
Yes, and Harmony.
I
mean, honestly, I'm fine with that.
I
you want to move him up? Go ahead and say it.
Move who up? Who are you talking about?
Steven.
I do, but I don't. It's not even him I want to move up. I honestly think.
You want to switch the couple?
I do want to put. I want to do this.
That's fine. I'm good with that.
Okay. I think they are. Those moments they had are just too good to be above, to be in C tier. Steven.
I definitely wouldn't put above Harmony. I'm cool with above Lydia. And I don't know.
Definitely above Lydia. At least above Lydia.
Yeah, for sure above Lydia.
Okay. I can settle with that. That's the one I can settle with. I would have him higher for sure, but I definitely can understand.
It breaks my heart that Oswald and Ben are in D because they don't deserve that.
I agree. There's only 7 per thing, and that's the problem because I don't know who I would put down below. Because I'm looking at this, Maggie is one of the only ones I can consider putting down below, only because I do love her. I do like her character. She is a little bit vanilla compared to, I think compared to, well, I mean, Ben is kind of one note too in a way to a degree, but I mean, Ben is a little more important inspirationally, but
I almost kind of want to move. Well, no.
I think Oswald's got to be in D, and that's a sucky thing. It's a shitty thing, but we can't really argue that our just entertainment of a couple of minutes per episode is worth going over anybody else. It's not the fact that he's not a D-list character, but he just isn't better than the other characters above him.
Yeah.
He's like a guilty pleasure kind of guy. That's pretty much Oswald.
Oh, I have no guilt.
He is defined as a guilty pleasure, whether you have guilt or not. How about that?
I embrace it and claim it proudly.
Should I at least do
That's
that?
what I was thinking, maybe.
And then there's Ben and Christine, which are... Christine had a little longer run.
I think I like it where it is. So for C tier, we have Harmony, Sancho, Steven, Lydia, Brian, Harmony, and Kristen?
Maggie and Kristen.
Maggie and Kristen.
Christine Walsh. So I think I actually could even see that, but now we're nitpicking at this point.
Yeah, I think I actually agree with that.
Oh, okay. We use our D tier to be Ben Taylor, which is a disgrace. He's so low, but I understand it. Oswald, pleasure. Chang, I don't want him so low, but I get it. James, I'm actually okay with. He was fine. He was just kind of a there character. Pamela, low, but you argued against it, and I'm okay with that. I hate the fact we're doing this with Sarah Douglas. I feel really bad because I love Sarah Douglas. Brad and Mark together makes sense. At least Brad is above Mark. Mark doesn't quite make Robin tier.
Okay, so here I would say Sean should go below Rollins.
Roller, the forgettable
Roller.
one?
Sorry, Roller.
That's right. Roller, the forgettable one. You're gonna put him above.
Yeah, he's forgettable. He doesn't actively make me angry. And the show didn't like forget about him. My child Sir, he has a name and a gender. Come on, Donovan.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm
I
pretty
won't argue
sure
it.
on that scripted episode when he said, or when Philip said you could find your boy, I'm pretty sure he was talking about Kyle. I'm like, I'm so sure.
Right. Right. If I had to bring up the script again, I don't think that's actually accurate, but okay.
I'm so sure about it.
Well, that will do it for our tier list. That is a pretty good solid tier list. Let us know in the comments what you think. Are we wrong? Are we right? Do we know what we're talking about? Do we don't know what we're talking about? I don't know. I don't know anymore. But I'm going to take this off for now. That was an adventure and a half. I think we did good. I think we might get yelled at a little bit. Maybe we'll find out. They yell at you more
I
than we
might
yell at
not
me.
have been right, but I was passionate.
You definitely were passionate. Absolutely. And that's why I love having you on the show. So, all right, let's get into the rest of the show. We're going to do this a little quicker. We're about 2 hours in. Let's get through our ranking of the episodes. And then Lego made a beautiful chart, which I'll show you after we're done. But we're going to find out. We're going to rank the episodes, and then we'll come to a group consensus where we'll rank them from 1 to 24, I think it is, right? Or 5 plus 19. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay, math, all that stuff. So let us start with the original miniseries, part 1. I'll make it easy for you. On a scale of 1 to 11, it's a perfect 11 for me.
Samesies.
Okay. Not much to discuss on that. I don't think it is just it's what drew us all in the first place. It was perfectly done by Kenneth Johnson, introducing a cast of thousands that make it that somehow it works. It shouldn't work, but it works. Great allegory. The visitors are hauntingly evil, scary. There's terror. The tone is terrible. It's terrifying. Yeah, it's just a good humanitarian story. A lot of good characters, a lot of good action for what we have. It's not a lot of action at the beginning, but there's enough of it to let us know where we're going. So,
Just very memorable scenes, as well as being very, I think, important themes. I'm
yes.
sorry that rhymed. I did not intend it to.
You're a poet and you didn't even think about it.
Didn't even know it. It was right there.
I know. That's why I had to go the other way.
That was a tragedy. I feel like I should leave.
Very emotional moment. This is at the end, obviously, is where we get the V from with Abraham that we were talking about before. Gets introduced our character. Donovan is right off the bat. We know who he is right from the get-go, and I love that about him. Yeah. Next up, the second episode, the second part of the miniseries. I also give that a perfect 11. And you as well? Okay.
Same.
What a great duo of episodes. I love that I love how it kind of ends the mountain camp, which is how we begin with Donovan and Tony in the I want to say Nicaraguan camp. I think it's Nicaragua. The Central America camp that they're at the beginning with, where the visitor ship shows up, and we kind of have that rebel resistance leader there shooting at the helicopter. We parallel that with Julie shooting at the Diana Skyfighter in the mountain camp. At the end of this one, wonderful bits. Donovan and Julie having great chemistry together at this point. The Bernstein quote, or the Bernstein family with Robert Maxwell after the Bernsteins get taken. Abraham gets taken and killed behind the scenes, which is actually sometimes more horrifying than seeing it. Just powerful moments throughout, very human moments. The terror is increasing. The villains are increasing. It just seems like it's taking such a great slow burn effort to do things, and I'm really here for it. So, anything you'd like to add on that episode?
I think I don't really remember the individual episodes because I always watch them together.
That makes sense. I get that. I might actually be conflagrating a few of them together, to be honest with myself. But by game, they both are a perfect 11 for me, though. So, all right, then let's move on to the Final Battle. Part 1. I gave this one a 10.5. I really liked this one quite a bit. I thought it was a good next step in the direction. Obviously, you could tell right from the get go that Kenneth Johnson was gone, and that they definitely went more sci-fi action, less social commentary, which is a shame, but it did do what it wanted to do very well, especially in this first episode. Establishing the resistance being there. It's a couple months later, they're losing badly. They need that guerrilla event. The LA Medical Center was a great fight sequence. They captured Julie, Donovan trying to fight his way back, and Elias and Robert having to talk him into escape. Um, Still very powerful sequence. Daniel becoming even more of a prick at this point. The scene where he has the medical students lick his boots and stuff is like very the fascism is like dripping in this episode. It's a good solid follow up. Doc at a point, at least a half point for losing a lot of the social commentary. There's still some there, but it's definitely not as much as Kenny Johnson would have done. How about you?
I gave it a 9.
Okay.
Because I agree with what you're saying. There's definitely, you can tell off the bat, they're going in a direction that's more action rather than having these heavy political themes.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's still really good.
Hmm.
It's still really good to me. Also, they do have Dick Miller in this one.
That's true. We do love a Dick Miller here. Not gonna lie. I do love Dick Miller. Okay. Part 2, I gave this one a 10. This was the introduction of my favorite character. One of my favorite characters in the whole saga.
I also gave it a 10 for the Michael Lyon side of it all.
He is great. He is great in this episode and throughout the rest of the episodes. That alone was great. I loved the water station raid as well. I actually liked Mark's sacrifice, even though he was a dick. I love Julie's conversion for what it was. I know you didn't. I know you didn't. We had that discussion before. I thought it was a fun conversion back in the day, although it definitely was a interesting outfit she had her wear. And
The nude leotard will haunt me till the day I die. I docked at the point for that.
I do think it's also cool. This is where we have, I know you don't like him, but Donovan turning himself in for Sean, which is a good, strong leading point for the finale. Yeah, overall, I like this one quite a bit. Great action, great sci-fi. Yeah, okay, you give it a 10 as well. So we're good there. Okay, the final battle, part 3. I gave this one a 9.5, and that was a little generous, I admit, because the actual ending is a little faulty. I have to say, I'll admit it's faulty. The Jedi-powered Elizabeth saving the day was not the right way to end it. I definitely would have gone with Kenny Johnson's suggestion or what he was going to end it, even if it meant the sacrifice of Martin. Then Kenny Johnson would have had Martin. Kenny Johnson was planned. We're going to have Martin sacrifice himself by flying the mothership into outer space to destroy, like it'd blow up in outer space and die. Everyone else go off.
No, terrible.
Better than
Shame.
it's better than Elizabeth Jedi powered, as far as I'm concerned.
I almost say it's worse.
Well, it makes sense because Martin would want to drive it if he wants to make the difference. I think that would actually be a heroic death for him.
I mean, thematically, it's a better death. Or I'm sorry, a better way to do that. Yes, writing. But Martin. But then they just dispose of him anyway. Never mind.
Yeah,
these writers all suck.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I guess the question, I think the idea is probably Kenny Johnson looked at the future because he wasn't going to, when he was writing the final battle, I don't think he had any real designs on going too much forward as far as that. He was going to do more miniseries anyway. He probably figured that Martin was a character who served his purpose at that point. He was the fifth columnist. He helped from within, but now he was a traitor. Everybody knew he was a traitor. So what role does he fill? Especially if Willie's there, it's kind of like, I mean, you could do something with him, absolutely. But as far as like watching, like considering what the role he was written as, making him be the guy who sacrifices himself because he finished his job, so to speak, makes sense writing wise. But I digress. Either way, though, A 9.5 because everything up leading up to that moment was actually a lot of fun. I thought discovery of the. We didn't even mention the birth in the last episode, by the way, which is the most famous part of V probably ever. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, this is why I gave it this episode an 8 because now we have to deal with the
aftermath
baby,
stuff. Yeah, the aftermath stuff was interesting. You can see went down to an 8.
the growing baby, the stupid reverend.
Well, he did get killed, He did get killed.
And he deserved it. It's his own fault. That's like if Sydney walked up into Ghostface and just said, "All right, I'm done."
Maybe that'd been a better Scream than 2025 would have been, or 2022. Anyway, let's move forward to
Oh wait, I wanted
Liberation
to say the
Okay.
my average for those 3 episodes was a 9. Your average was a 10.
About right. I've got some solid choice. And I will admit that I might have an extra point on you due to nostalgia. Growing up and watching it at the time as a kid. Possibly, just looking at that. Okay, let's move on then to 1.01 Liberation Day. This was the episode, of course, where we trapped Diana briefly. We opened the Club Creole a year later. Donovan and Martin are working together until they're not because they stupidly killed him off. However, at the end of this episode, I gave this one a solid 8. Especially, I think part of that is because I know what's to come. So comparatively to some of the stuff afterwards, this actually was a decent enough setup. The Elizabeth stuff was a little weird. I'm not gonna buy it, but it was sci-fi stuff, so I was willing to go with it a little bit. Donovan and Ham going off on his own was kind of cool in a way. I liked that aspect of it. I like Donovan tracking Diana down to the tracking station, and I did like that whole sequence. Even though Donovan shoots Diana with like 6 bullets and doesn't kill her because they don't have the right bullets anymore. I don't know why they wouldn't have the right bullets. So it was kind of weird, but the actual moment itself was kind of cool. Yeah, what are your thoughts?
I gave it a 7 due to the death of a character I love. But at this point, the reason I'm keeping it so high is that there's still this idea of continuity, like with the red dust and where we are in the war. Like
Yes.
this seems like they at this point it seems like we've seen the original miniseries.
Yeah, and actually wrote them with regards to them potentially. Yes, I agree. We mentioned Sean by name.
Who?
Exactly. Next up, we got Dreadnoughts. This was the continuation. Ham and Donovan getting together. The visitors are definitely on the offensive again. This is the Resistance stealing the mothership. Julie is starting to work with Nathan Bates, establishing that relationship. And of course, the unfortunate sacrifice by Robert Maxwell, who threw the short end of the stick, so to speak. Very sad, but heroic death. As Willie would say, he was a great, great 0. I give it a 7.
Not funny.
I enjoyed him. I enjoyed this episode. There's some definitely cheesiness going on, or it's like you start to see this could go down a bad path. Lydia's actions with the particle triax beam and stuff. It was okay, but it was still kind of I give it a 7 more because I know what's coming later on than anything else.
I gave it a 6 because they're talking about the Mark of Zahn, and Robert dying is just the bane of my existence.
Perfectly fine. All right. Next up, we got Breakout, episode 3, the one that was too dark to air in prime time. It only got shown later on during the second run in the United States. The first introduction of Kyle. I gave this one a 6. I like Kyle. I like Kyle's introduction here enough. I do like Donovan at the camp. Donovan and Ham at the camp. Donovan and Ham have some great moments together. Ham and Kyle have some great moments together. Nathan first shows humanity because he knows that Diana has his son. Some great Kyle and Nathan scene at the end. some interesting things. Crivet, great idea, not so great execution. Yeah, I'll give it a solid 6 though.
I gave it a 7. I kind of really liked the idea of the work camps. I
Yeah.
thought that was pretty good. And I like they were basically pulling a Tremors, which is my favorite film, so into that. I didn't like the doggy violence.
Yes, the doggy violence.
That's
Which is what we determined to be probably the reason why it was not broadcast the original run. Makes sense. A lot of blood there. So yeah, overall though, good. Okay. Anything else on that one, or should we move on?
not much.
Okay. The Deception 1.4, the 4th episode. The other introduction to Kyle. We have erased the work camp now, and Kyle and Robin found each other.
I don't like
randomly.
that their introduction is now more contrived.
Yep, I agree.
Super easy, barely an inconvenience.
Mhm.
I don't like the Kyle, Elizabeth, Robin love triangle they were doing at all.
Mhm.
I don't like that Robin's been running in the woods for a week. That doesn't make sense.
True. Very true. I did like the Donovan stuff, the mind control stuff that they're working on with Donovan. It was silly and doesn't work, but it still was cheesy and fun for me. I thought that was fun, at least. Donovan breaking out and driving the limo to attack, almost blowing Julie's cover was fun. Kyle and Ham had some good interactions. Ham and Elias had some good interactions, I thought. And Julie being dumb but being loyal, not going to let Elizabeth go on her own, even though she can blow her cover. I did like the final fight. I like Kyle showing his true colors and having the motorcycle fight with the visitor cycles. It was fun at least. So I gave it a 6. I give it a 6.
I also gave it a 6.
Okay. It's on the same page there. That's fine.
Now it's the next one we have very different opinions on.
It's the Sanction. Episode 5. This is Brovok. I gave this a 6. I'm not gonna lie, because I loved the scene between Ham and Sean, where Ham thought Donovan was dead. I loved that scene because Ham shows his affection, or at least or his respect, I should say, for Gooder. I love the Mark Singer overacting in this one tremendously. This is the one that has my favorite Mark Singer overacting bit, when he dives over the short brush, rolls, comes up next to the small gargoyle, has the gun and goes.
Yes.
Great
he
moment.
Startled himself.
I love that we have a visitor martial art that is Brovok. Sean choosing Dinah at the end made for an interesting story. Of course, they pretty much drop it at that point, so it doesn't really go anywhere. But if that's not this episode's fault, that's later on episode's fault. I think it'd have been cool to have done more with that later on. And Klaus was a fun, stupid villain, a fun, silly one-off villain that kind of made the world bigger to me, as far as I'm concerned. Have different villains like that out there across the world that we don't know about yet. Could have seen other experts come in. We did have some other experts. Klaus did make our list. These other ones, one-offs, did make our tier list, like Laird, the tracker, another one of those we see later on. I gave this one a 6. I had fun with it.
3 for Sean.
Ooh.
I didn't appreciate the Brovok.
How would you not love the Brovok? How would you not love the Brovok scenes? V Kung Fu. Couldn't go wrong.
You could, and you did.
All right. Come on, the Donovan Klaus fights, though. Come on. They were great. With the battles, with the park benches, and with the...
Listen, I didn't give it a 0. I gave it a 3.
All right, I'll let it go. Next up, Visitor's Choice, episode 6. I will say this is one of my favorite of the series. This is one of my favorite. This felt like the tone felt as close to the final battle miniseries, as far as like the visitors being terrifying and being horror. Like, you're actually scared of the visitors in this a little bit, compared to like the kind of like bumbling, aimless stormtroopers that they are in the rest of the series. I feel like they're competent. Like, this is a tough thing for them to do. The whole battle at the food, whatever they're doing, that food market thing they're doing at the end there. Donovan and Ham and Julie attacking the convention thing. Great fight. Great battle. It felt like a final battle moment for it. So if you can harken back the series, anytime the series harkens back to anything close to feeling like the final battle, I'm going to give it a higher choice. So I give this one an 8.
For me, I gave it a 6. I don't like the love triangle stuff. I did like Kyle and Chang's interactions.
I didn't mention that stuff. Yeah.
I think that that's the kind of the ding and the highlight for me. Oh, and at this point, Jane Badler's hair is just getting out of control with the glitter, so that's something worth noting.
Actually, I would bump it up to a 7, I would think then, but okay. I'm okay.
No, the love triangle stuff really brings it down for me.
You're not wrong. It's funny actually because like it makes sense. I give it an 8 because I definitely didn't even talk about any of that, and that's why.
Oh, that was like the main stuff in my notes.
Yeah, that's funny.
And I'm
I
basing it
like the
off
other
of it.
stuff so much that I was able to look past the stupid love triangle stuff. So, but all right, fair enough, fair enough. How about the Overlord episode 7? I thought this was another fun episode. Wasn't quite nearly as good as the last one as far as that, but I like the idea of going out of town. I like the Overlord, the garrison guy in charge of this town of miners, and Donovan coming in like a little bit Magnificent Seven. Obviously, that was kind of like the inspiration to a degree. Somebody gets the gunmen together, and they had that Magnificent Seven moment, which is awesome. And Donovan and Kyle and Ham all kind of stroll up like cowboy wise, yo Garrison, that kind of thing. And you have Cheryl Lee Ralph in it, who's still a great actress today. Turning on Elias, you have Elias having an actual moment of anything in the weekly series. He actually has a moment to work. Not much, but he got something at least. It does get a knockdown for the Elizabeth, I know what men like bit. But I do like the final shootout as well. I think it's a great moment where it's interesting having humans versus humans instead of humans versus visitors in a way. I got to make it a little bit of an interesting angle there. So, but I'll give it a 6. I'll go to 6 overall.
Let's see. I gave it a 5 because I think a lot of what worked for you doesn't work for me.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I just think I just find that to me, that stuff for me is just very boring. I really everything about Elizabeth just I don't like. And then we're still doing the threesome stuff with Elizabeth, Robin, and Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of like the human v human stuff during the war, but it just felt like a Western, and I hate Westerns.
Oh, that's true. It did feel like a Western. I do like Westerns. Like, not love Westerns like some people do, but I do enjoy them enough. So I get that though. So that makes a lot of sense. Okay, The Dissident, episode 8. This one is hard for me to grade because this is one of those ones that I do have a lot of nostalgia for because I had taped a bunch of them off with the VCR when I was younger. And this is one of the ones I did tape. And I love the fact that Donovan got a laser gun again. And I thought like, he actually was smart and picked up a laser gun instead of using the usual guns they have. I didn't realize that at the time it was a budgetary thing. I did love Donovan and Ham together again. Great moment there. I remember liking it because Robin had the dreams and nightmares about the final battle. So I got to watch the final battle because I did not have the original miniseries, the final battle on tape. So I was like, "Ooh, footage from the miniseries," because they weren't available back then. Easy to get. I kind of like some of it. I kind of like the idea of some of it, but there's a lot that's a little wacky. I will give bonus points to Willie at the end trying to guard Julie's body against the force field guy. I kind of like the idea of Jacob, but it wasn't very well. Didn't really work out very well. But I'll give it a solid 6 again overall.
I'm doing 5 again. The whole force field thing was nonsensical. It just absolutely didn't work for me at all. I think if there's a way to like talk about, I don't know. I'm assuming it was supposed to be like the Berlin Wall, or like the Iron Curtain or something like that, and just do it a little bit better. The way they decided to do it was just legitimately so stupid. Just have people guard the fucking street. I didn't like the magic guy. It's not my thing. Yeah, it just too Elizabeth. I don't like the Elizabeth heavy episode.
You mentioned Zahn too, so I know you didn't.
I know. I think I wrote that nonsense. That's when I started using nonsense.
All right. Well, next up actually is a very merry Zonmas, actually.
Yeah.
It's our special Christmas episode, Reflections in Terror. I actually really enjoyed this episode for what it was. For a Christmas episode, it was solid. I mean, it's everything you would get out of a Christmas episode about an alien invasion. I think it gave a lot of background on Ham, which was nice. Him and Donovan getting to share that moment. Chris being there was actually very key to the whole thing. Is where Chris showed back up for a bit. I love Donovan tries to get in with Ham, but Ham doesn't let anybody in until the end. Is a little bit out of character that he became Santa Claus at the end? Absolutely. But you kind of let that go because it's a Christmas episode, I think. I like it for that reason. I'm going to give it an 8.
I gave it a 7 for the return of Bobber. I did really like that. I'm not a Grinch. I do like a Zonmas. However, they're continuing to do the threesome stuff, which I didn't like. I did like the kind of background we're starting to get on Ham, which was sad. Yeah, I think this one was just ultimately a fine. It's good for the series, but just not a great.
Okay, I'll go with that. I'll go with
I
that.
like the children smuggling. Donovan just needed to take one and get over someone.
I don't think that's quite how that works. As a father, I can tell you it doesn't work that way.
Okay, I've definitely seen a 1950s movie. I think it's 50s called or might have been 40s, called The Penny Serenade. And what they do is they have a kid dies. They adopt a child, adopted child dies. And then I think at the end they're starting to adopt another one. Oh, you just replaced them? I can't. And based on my upbringing, from my understanding is if you lose one kid, you have others. That's what Invincible's dad said to him too.
Wow. That's true. That is what Invincible's dad did say. Okay,
you can always make another with your guy.
That's fine. All right, then. Next up, episode 10, The Conversion. I will say it's telling, by the way. I will say it's telling that I am not talking about the three-way romance at all. I basically shut that out. Am I looking at it? Because I know that's trash, but I assume that trash is there for a while anyway, so I just kind of shut it out, and I look at the rest of the episode and see, do I like it besides that? So I'll let you trash that.
Oh, but because I don't have this stuff memorized like you do. I have to look back at my notes, and my notes are a lot of, this is what I'm looking at right now. They did what? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh, in this episode?
Yes.
Okay, yes, I do know what you're talking about in this one. But I'm not going to talk about it because I don't remember that. I don't want to talk about that. What I will talk about is the fact that I liked everything else about the episode. I liked the Ham Tyler conversion. I liked the shootout at the end. I liked that Nathan Bates got hit, and we had a moment of drama between Kyle and Nathan and Julie. And I love Donovan getting to be the hero and covering everybody as they go out, all getting blasted at. I love that Charles is there. And Charles is in charge of our days and our nights, that he basically takes over in a great way. So a lot of big dick energy there. I'm giving this an 8.5. I really like this one. I really enjoyed this one. Now you're going to tell me why it sucks. Go ahead. They did what?
Yeah, it's fine. Ham gets converted. Charles shows up with his BDE. Yes, that's true. I just felt like it was kind of dumb. I mean, for this show, it's fine. It's fine. Donovan, gets to play with Barber and Ham. Michael Ironside gets a little bit more to do than usual, and I think this is the one he cries, which is weird because I didn't think Michael Ironside could do that. Yeah. But Here we are. Yeah, it's a 6 for me.
6. Ooh, okay. Okay. It does have the worst bit of Robin that we have, I think. Yeah. All right, next up, The Hero, episode 11. I think I might rank this one a little high because I forgot one key factor is that I think the death of Elias should knock this down at least 1 point. But I already gave you the points and you already made it into a lovely, pretty graph, so I won't. I gave it a 6. Elias's death is very disrespectful. I don't make a right one.
I mean, at this point, meh.
Yeah, I get that. We do get the introduction to John Langley, who is a very rare character that has more than one episode. One who is trying to impregnate Robin on Diana's orders. It doesn't really seem like he wants to, so he actually feels like he could have been an interesting character.
But boy, was he not.
But boy, did they just cut him off really quickly. I feel like this is another case. Is all around that time where they were changing streams. And I feel like if he was set up to be something more of a long-term thing, and then when
that means we'd get more Robin.
Yeah. So yes, it is a worthy sacrifice for sure. But I do love Bruce Davison in the role and everything else. I think he is a good addition for the 2 episodes he's in. Overall, I gave it a 6. It was fine.
I gave it a 7 because I do like Bruce Davison. I really like them being trapped in the
printing press. Yeah.
Yeah.
Printing press thing. Yep.
Printing press. I really like that setup quite a bit.
Yeah.
I like that Bruce Davison is like this kind of double agent. I think that's really interesting.
Yep.
But yeah, Elias's death is just so unceremonious, and I feel like that should have affected Willie longer.
Agreed. Should have affected them all a little longer. I mean, Ham is right.
No, just Willie, really.
I think it should have affected Julie and Donovan more a little bit. I feel like they're more human than that. Hey, Chris, Ham? No, I get that.
I don't think that they really cared about him, if I'm being honest.
Okay. All right, that's fair. All right, episode 12 then, The Betrayal. This is the one with Howie, who I did like. I really enjoyed the character of Howie. I definitely scored this too high in retrospect because I forgot the fact that as much as I loved Howie, I loved the fact that we lose Robin finally, and that's a good thing. Robin leaves in this. We don't lose her though. We leave. She leaves, but it's kind of like canceled off because Ham Tyler leaves also. The last episode of Michael Ironside's in, and that made me sad because I like Ham in there. I gave it a 7. But it does have one of the worst things that happens in the series, and that's Elizabeth bringing Willie back from the dead.
Oh,
my powers! It's so god awful that it almost single-handedly tanked the score for me.
Yeah, I also feel like maybe I rated it too high because I was like so overdone. Like Howie's here and Frankie Weatherwax, which is one of my favorite things about the show, and Robin leaves.
Yes.
And all these great things, but yeah, the whole Willie. I even wrote, "I'm out."
Throwing towel. Probably one of the first times we threw. Probably wasn't quite the first time we threw the towel, but might have been. Definitely not the last time we threw the towel. I will also give credit where credit's due. I did like, much I didn't like Ham leaving. I really did like the scene where he left. When Ham said goodbye to Julie and Donovan. I thought that was really well done. I really felt it. They did well together. But 7's what I'm giving it for now. And unfortunately, I probably would go lower, but I'll keep it at 7 for now. What did you give it? Did you say what your point where was?
8.
8. Okay, 8. Oh, whoa. The Frankie Weatherwax bump. I get it.
I was into it.
I get it. All right. Next up, episode. I think I know where you're going here. You don't like this episode. The Rescue.
It's our first birthing episode. This is one between the human couple.
Mm-hmm. And John Michael Davis, I think, is the kid's name.
Yes, but his dad is played by Dr. White from St. Elsewhere, which also really puts it at a downward spiral for me.
Right. You mentioned that during your thing, and I had never seen that episode. So, I haven't watched the series, actually. I never watched that series. So,
oh, if you did, you'd know Dr. White.
That's fair.
Yeah, I just nothing about this episode really worked that well for me personally, and I just hate the birthing episodes just
Okay.
so much.
So what did you
I
give
mean,
it?
I guess I did like Kyle's conversation with the little boy.
No.
But that's really about, you
I
know.
liked the raid on Club Creole. I thought it was a fun moment. I liked Donovan and Willie and Elizabeth in the park. I thought that was kind of a fun moment. And I liked Donovan saving the day. That was a fun moment. That was enough to give it a 7 for me. I understand why you don't like it, but I actually thought the birthing scene was fine. I thought they were a perfectly not normal couple, but normal people there. It just felt like it was an interesting thing to happen. It's a normal thing to happen, and during a war, it makes it a lot tougher. And again, Donovan having the high ground. I love me Donovan having the high ground. So 7 for me. And what'd you give it?
Um
Did you say? I don't know if you said or not.
4.
A 4. Ouch. Oh, that's way too low. That's way too low. But it's your score. So, all right. Next up, we have. Well, they don't get much better at this point. We have the champion, 14th episode. This is the horse. This is Donovan with the horses again. We get the stock footage of the
Horsies!
horsey battle. We get Donovan and his new love interest, possible love interest, and his new other
I
replacement for Sean.
I should have given this one higher. I only gave it a 6, but we do have a horse battle. This is, I think, one of the best episodes of the last half of the series. We are doing the kind of A team where it's Donovan and Kyle teaming up with a awesome redhead and a horse. What really brings it down for me is her knowing daughter who keeps trying to get adopted by Donovan, or who
Really
keeps
bad.
trying to get herself adopted by Donovan. And he keeps talking about some child or something. I'm not really sure what's going on there. Um,
Yes.
maybe Kyle should have him looked at.
um, I hated the fact that this little town was under the visitor's thumb and the sheriff's thumb. Donovan promises to stick around after they get saved. He's going to start the resistance there, and the resistance gets started between a 35-year-old woman, her daughter, her teenage daughter, and a one-legged vet. And when Donovan leaves the situation, it's a 35-year-old woman, her teenage daughter, and a one-legged vet, and yet they act like the resistance is good to go now.
Yeah, they're
Feel
definitely good to go now. What are you
right.
talking about?
Doesn't seem like a whole lot of the comedy. They get rid of the sheriffs, they got rid of the police, so maybe there's more there, but it felt like such a useless episode for that. I did like Donovan's conversations a few times. I did like the conversation when I thought he did a good job talking about you know who to a degree. He kind of didn't say much about it, but he was kind of very emotional about it. I felt like Donovan could very well have stayed there, and maybe lived his life out at that point, which is an interesting thing considering where he was when we started the miniseries. Like the miniseries, I could never have pictured Donovan retiring on a horse farm. But at this point, after everything went down, he actually did a good job making it like at least somewhat potentially believable for me.
I think he should have just stayed.
Yeah, there's a part of it that said, like, you know what, I've done my best.
Kyle too. They could be a nice little family.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, I gave it a 5, and that's all I can do about that. Next up, we have the Wildcats, the Fighting Wildcats. 15th episode. You're giving it a 5.
Listen, at this point we're really setting things up. Why? It's episodic. It's a literal waste of film. What they're doing,
Yeah,
like with Willie and the little romance he has, it's an episode. They're not going to be here next episode. Why did you do that?
are we
What is the
bothering?
point of that? I don't like the whole. I mean, I guess it makes sense that there's war, there'll be disease. This is the diphtheria episode. I don't know what diphtheria is still. But it's just it's a seemingly good idea with just the most boring, useless execution.
Generic, boring execution is right. And beyond all that, it's a Donovan light episode,
True,
and
true.
it feels it. It feels the loss of Marsinger. Marsinger does make a few brief appearances in there, which I'm happy for because it means that it is only him, Diana, and Willie are the only 3 characters that appear in every single episode. So I'm glad Donovan had a small bit to play. So at least he makes the appearance at the end to keep that streak going.
And also, they killed the Mad Max lady.
Yeah, they did.
Loved her.
They did. It was very sad.
Although I will say in my notes, I did write that this is a 0 out of 10 and then that I hated it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, Littlest Dragon, the other birthing episode. Lego gives it a 3. I gave it a 5. And I think it's actually kind of funny because of our tier rankings. I gave it a 5 because of Philip. Philip's introduction and Philip's conversation with Donovan, despite the fact that it was a definite repeat of he was my brother, he was my friend. Over and over
it was
again.
Ridiculous, and it would have been a 2 if it weren't for Philip being in here. Philip gave it an extra point. I just don't like these birthing episodes. They're making Willie annoying instead of kind of a sweet himbo.
Wait, but Willie got to practice his doula stuff.
Yeah. But I hate babies, so I'm fine with him just talking about it, but we actually had to see the oil bath. No. This was not it for me.
What about Angela?
It would have been interesting, but she's only there for an episode. If she was an actual character, like replace Lydia with her, I think this would have improved the entire show.
I fully agree. I actually fully agree there. So I gave it a 5. Yeah, like I said, you gave it a 3, so we're good to go. Next up, 17, War of Illusions. Yeah, Lego gives it a 5.
5, yeah, that's
You're lucky I didn't give this a 0. You're lucky I didn't give us a -1 for Henry Atkins.
I gave it a 5 for hacking the planet. Come on. I think Kyle works really well with the kid.
No, he doesn't. I don't like to say this often because it's opinion and it's a view is subjective, but in this case, you are just wrong. This kid doesn't work with anybody.
It's like The Last Starfighter. I love that movie.
Did you say Last TIE Fighter?
Last Starfighter.
Okay. I thought that's what you were going for, but I heard Last TIE Fighter. I know it's Star Wars Day was yesterday, and I watched The Phantom Menace, and I'm in Star Wars mode still, but I heard Last TIE Fighter. I love The Last Starfighter. This guy is no Lance Guest, and this guy is no Starfighter.
No one's a Lance Guest, but Lance Guest. And you know what? People really need to try and watch Jaws Revenge again. Give another chance. It's better than you think. It's such a fun movie. Am I wrong on that too?
It's not much better than you think.
It's better than Jaws 3.
You might be right. It's only because it goes into the ridiculousness of it. You kind of know Michael Caine. I'm
not talking about Michael Caine. I'm talking about Lance Guest and his shark hunting Betty.
But Michael Caine does make that good as well. If you got points, it needs all the points it can get.
Oh, I thought you were saying he drags it down.
No.
Okay.
I think he's good. I mean, not he's good. He's Michael Caine, so he's always watchable. Michael Caine is always watchable. That's what I found. But War of Illusions, I will give only one thing that I liked about it. And it was the time that Donovan almost permitted child abuse on Henry Atkins. He almost struck him.
I still didn't see it, but okay. I think you might have.
He goes like, and then walks away. And it's the funniest thing. Mark Singer, he pushed Mark Singer to the edge. And I loved watching that.
Sure.
That's about it. But that is definitely the only thing about this episode I could like. So that's a 2. A solid 2 for me. Spoiler alert. My least favorite episode of the series by far. Next up, episode 18, The Secret Underground. You gave it a 5. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Did it make sense? No. Did I lose the plot? Did it lose the plot? Was there a plot? Were the flashbacks horrendous? I mean, horrendous. Yes. But was I watching this the whole time thinking, her ex and her other ex, they're going to kiss? And it made me laugh. Martin was in it, which I really liked. Diana was just at her wit's end, which I thought was funny. We get a lot of Oswalds. Yeah, I just had a lot of fun with this one.
You know, you're saying this. I mean, I'm not going to change my rating now. Again, you made the pretty charts. I'm not going to change the rating. I could have been talked up a point. I gave it a 3. I could have been talked up to a 4, maybe even a 5, because I got to admit, at the end of the day, it was all the stupidity that dragged it down. Like in my head, I'm like, I can't possibly give this an episode where Donovan and Julie are the ones chosen to sneak aboard the mothership.
Yeah, it don't make no sense. It's so stupid.
But even on top of that, they wear a lizard mask over their face and then wear a Donovan and Julie mask over the lizard
That's not
mask.
how makeup works. This is just a Scooby-Doo episode. And the thing about me is, while I hate Velma, I love Scooby-Doo.
You do. Yeah. Well, yeah. But at the end of the day, I will admit that despite all that, and you know what, maybe because of that, I do have fun with this episode. So 3 might be a little low. I probably should have gone to 4 or 5, but I'm not going to change it now. I gave it a 3 because of its absolute ridiculousness. So, all right, we're going to go on to the final episode, The Return, 19. You're giving it a 4. I'll come right off the bat and say I also gave this a 3. Like the
I
previous
mean, a
episode.
lot of it has to do with effing Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, I don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Willie and what was her name?
Thelma.
Hated that.
Didn't like
Why
any
would you
of that.
introduce someone in the last episode? Terrible.
Mm-hmm.
The Carrie dress they had her in, terrible. Diana was giving everything, which I love. Martin was giving everything, which I love. I'm sorry, I said Martin. Philip.
I thought the first time you did that, by the way, but I didn't correct it before. Just let you go.
I mean, I'm bad with names, and they're twins.
I get it. It's fine.
Yeah.
We do get the sword fight.
The show is ridiculous, but we all know I do be loving that sword fight.
Sword fight's great.
It's not quite the horse battle, but it is up there.
That's fair. I agree with everything you just said. Pretty much is not. I remember like this a lot more when I was a kid, and I don't know if it's because like it seemed a lot more epic, and that they're on their mothership together. There's this final battle happening or not happening. The planet almost gets blown up again, but at the time it was exciting. I do like that Donovan and company fight on the bridge. That felt like such an epic moment for this series. At that point, again, a kid, it felt that way. But yeah, there's a lot of problems with it, a whole lot of problems with it. And I really actually like the beginning of it as well, when they were about to die and then Philip called them off. I like that moment too, so I'll give it that. But the Elizabeth stuff was pretty ridiculous at that point. And yeah,
hard to watch.
It was hard to watch. I think the next episode that would have happened would have been harder to watch if they didn't rewrite things. But at least we would have gotten Ham back, which would have given me at least a little point or two higher. But we didn't. This episode. We have the big cliffhanger ending, which ends up being the series finale, and we never know what happened next. And our head canon, Elizabeth blew up, and we're good to go. Pretty much.
Elizabeth and Kyle and the leader. And then there was peace because Martin became the leader. No, Philip. No.
Philip. Yes. Philip. It is, yes, Philip.
Philip became the leader, and he is a peaceful leader.
Yeah. Okay, then according to our rankings at this point, tied at the bottom is episode 19, The Return, and War of Illusions at 3.5, given our averages. From there, Secret Underground and The Littlest Dragon are tied at 4 points each. The Wildcats and The Sanction are at 4.5, our average. The Champion, The Rescue, The Dissident, and The Overlord all tie at 5.5. The Deception, the 4th episode, at a 6-point average. The Hero, Breakout, and Dreadnought at a 6.5. Visitor's Choice at a 7. The Conversion at a 7.25. The Betrayal, Reflections in Terror, and Liberation Day at a 7.5. And no surprise that the Final Battle Part 3 at 8.75, Final Battle Part 1 at 9.75. Final Battle Part 2 at 10. And the original miniseries as a whole at a perfect score of 11. This seems right. It seems right.
Could you say what the bottom was again, please?
The Return, the final episode,
Okay.
and War of Illusions were both tied at 3.5. That's the Henry Atkins effect, if you don't know. This is why it ties to the other one. Yeah, I think the only one for me, looking at our average, I'd be fine with almost all of that. I feel like I would push Visitor's Choice up myself because I did really like that episode. But that's about it. Otherwise, I think it's good to go. Any last thoughts?
No.
We've been here for a while. Been here for a while. Thank you for sticking it out with me, and I hope your listeners have stuck it out. And hopefully, these probably maybe should have been 2 separate episodes, but that's okay. That's okay. We live and learn. It is what it is. If you stuck with us, hey, more power to you. Leave it a comment. Let us know what you liked about it. Let us know if you want to do this again next time. Maybe we'll do a tier ranking of the 2009 bits. Maybe we'll do a ranking that way. I think we'll do ratings of the episodes for 2009 as we go along. Probably makes most sense. Where can the folks find you, Lego?
I can be found at Legoland13 on YouTube and the Unhinged Binge on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, as well as Instagram.
You can find me at Paul _ Newsio on the old Twitter. You can find me all over this channel, of course. We have weekly shows and bi-weekly shows. Obviously, this is bi-weekly for the most part. We have a weekly Star Wars show called Holy Snokes, a Star Wars podcast, myself and Matty Gunner. We just finished The Bad Batch. This next, actually, when you're hearing this, I'm sure when it's airing, so don't worry about what I'm saying right now. We're talking Star Wars. Then we got also, of course, 2 Mediocre White Dudes on Film. We just did record our episode with Vinny DeSante, who is the director of Never Hike Alone and Never Hike Alone 2. Had a great conversation with him, a good hour and a half conversation about basically about those movies, but also the greater Jason filmography as a whole.
Didn't he do Dylan's Nightmare too?
He was involved. Womp Stomp Studios was there. He wasn't the director of that one, but he was involved. He actually played Freddy's glove in that one. Vinny DeSante, the director, has the distinct pleasure of having starred in a movie as Jason, because he's Jason, and he's a part-time Jason, Never Hike Alone. He was Michael in a short film called The Spirit of Haddonfield, and then he got to play Freddy's glove in Dylan's New Nightmare. So he has played Freddy, Michael, and Jason. So good for him. Yeah, no, but it's a cool conversation. He's involved with that. We're going to cover, speaking of Dylan's New Nightmare, we are going to, when PJ and I come back after our small hiatus, we are taking a small hiatus to do the Doctor Who season that's just going to come out. We're going to do the Big Blue Box for about 7 weeks, 8 weeks when that comes down. Then we're going to bring back 2 Mediocre White Dudes on Film. We are going to do John Wick, and then we will do Nightmare on Elm Street, including Dylan's New Nightmare, because we like that one quite a bit as well. Yeah, that and my Queen podcast every Friday as well on Crown Jewel, my sister YouTube channel, on the same audio. It has its own audio feed now. And I think that is it. I've kept you guys here long enough. Join Patreon if you can, patreon.com/PLD Projects. Join Austin Cadell and we got Brandon Buckingham. Great crew over there. If not, I completely get it. Leave comments, share it, like us, add to the algorithm. Let's talk more. And that's it. Next time on the show, like I said, it's the J. Michael Straczynski pitched version. We're going to read the script on air like we did for the last episode, and Lego will react. And I do think that this one is definitely low bar, but it's more well written than episode 20 was. So that's it for now. Stay tuned till next time. Of course, Ete Nama.